This is the Code Breakers. This is Paradox.
And this is D. What's going
It
on, man?
is April 15th, 2020. So I have been told.
April 15th, 2020. 20 years past the millennial. So it's 2020. Sometimes people say, I see things clearly in 2020. And I guess that's
Yeah,
just the
it's
way
funny.
things are working right now. Things are getting a lot clearer in 2020. Code breakers, man, coming through midnight hour on the East Coast in HQ.
Uh, you can hit us up at codebreakers1999 at gmail.com or find us on Twitter at codebreakers191.
Yeah, we really are interested in hearing a lot of feedback, if possible. If you hear anything that you are concerned about, or that you just have any questions for us, and maybe you wasn't able to actually share it with us during that time, or share it into the chat, whatever, and you feel like maybe your question, I don't know, maybe it's not something that you think or deem to be sufficient, or whatever the case may be, because I don't believe in stupid questions. I know there are people that do, but I don't. I think that people ask questions to receive clarity. So, I can't call your question stupid if that's what you're trying to receive. So please feel free to ask us any questions, especially if it's anything about the program or anything that we actually said. We're here to kind of clear up confusion. We're not trying to make other people confused, especially Black people. And with that being said, um, we're
I
going
was
to get
going to say
into this.
these are just opinions of the code breakers. Please do not under the YouTube policies and
Right.
the CEO of YouTube. Who's the CEO of YouTube, by the way?
Ooh, man, I
I keep
forgot
in,
it's a woman, though. It's a female.
is it still a woman?
If I'm not mistaken, let me go ahead and take a quick look at that, because
Her name's Susan Susan
you got her.
Diane Wojcicka.
Yeah, I knew
She
it was a good old
is
white woman.
a well, she's definitely, is that Eastern European? Is that yeah, she's Polish. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
she's a Pole.
Polish.
51 years old, born in 1968 in California,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew she
Santa
was
Clara.
from here. Yeah.
Went to Harvard University for her business.
Hmm.
Went to Santa Cruz for her bachelor, UCLA.
Yeah, she's cool with some of the
Thirsty
founders that, yeah, some of the guys that was the founders of YouTube. So
So you said she's the
Steve and Chad
CEO
and
of
them.
YouTube. Yeah,
Yeah,
who owns? Yeah,
she
Stephen
cool
Chad.
with them.
Who owns? YouTube is owned by Google, right?
Yeah, Google is pretty much the money
Is that
behind it
right?
now. Yeah, 2006 to present,
Yeah.
Google has been affiliated with YouTube, so to speak. Yep, building their so-called algorithm, making it a little bit stronger. With Google's learning from YouTube, and YouTube is learning from Google. If everybody understands exactly what that means, so
How she get this job?
I told you she's
God
cool. She's cool with Steven and Chad. And you know how this go. This thing is
You know, it's funny.
yeah,
YouTube isn't it? YouTube is really, it's not impressive. So it's kind of a funny business model because it's not really nothing. Just
right.
folks loading up dumbass videos. It's kind of a funny business actually. No,
Well, I mean, it gives people the opportunity to kind of get their thoughts and their views out. So, I mean,
I
it
remember.
has
I remember
elevated.
when it wasn't. I remember when it wasn't popular
I do
years
too.
back. That's all. So it's just kind of a funny, trendy thing. That's all. It's kind of funny.
And what was the other streaming service that was competing with YouTube at the time? Was it Vimeo? Yeah, that's it. Vimeo. Remember Vimeo, right? Same sort of similar, but never really
Vaguely.
got off the ground. So, yeah.
Well, I don't know why people started to lean. You know why people came to YouTube? Because you can make money. You started to be able to make money. Maybe that's what it was.
AdSense. That's what I'm saying. Google
As
helped
more
out
views,
YouTube.
yeah,
YouTube helped out Google. It's a partnership.
yeah. I think I don't really know the history, but it's a guess.
Yeah, the
If they paid more
AdSense.
money, it started to make sense for people.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to figure out why do people start to watch it though? You know, it's a weird combination of people subscribing to YouTube, but at the same time, being drawn to YouTube to watch videos.
Well,
Like which came first, the viewers or the videos? I guess kind of at the same time.
I want to say that the way that the streaming content was offered and filtered through the algorithm, especially like when Google jumped on, it made it a lot easier to kind of get the kind of content that you wanted and the personalities that you wanted. The algorithms is really what pushed YouTube into the other stratosphere to me. That's what really built the actual YouTube platform.
Well, they did force it on phones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's easier to get on the phone. So when you popped up, you
Yeah.
got the suggestions. It's almost like you got it to your own. That's how sections of YouTube were created. Like, like how there's the Black manosphere, there's the Black consciousness type of sector. There is the roasting sector, the eating sector,
all the how-to stuff.
The gun sector, the prepping sector, the right-wing America sector. Like, it gave everybody an avenue. It gave everybody an avenue. It gave everybody an audience to where the people that rock with you or work with your thought pattern, they was basically able to kind of align you to where you belonged, right? Based off your viewing, and they put you where you belonged. like they literally, it's almost like, and we're about to play Mr. Fuller. Back to what Mr. Fuller says, it's almost like they put you in your cell block. I know people who don't look at things like that, but literally they say, okay, your personality fits over here. This is where you need to be. We're not going to even waste time sending you these contents. Like, I don't even see like some of the white YouTubers that are like really, really like, I think you told me like PewDiePie is one of them. Like, shit, this
that's a bunch of them. They got like 20, 30 million followers.
I'm like, damn, that mean I never knew who this person was. I'm like, who was
big
this?
Time, and I consider them the real YouTubers. This one couple I follow, yo. I told you they sold out the Staples Center.
See, no, but I'm gonna
tell
you,
they don't show nothing.
I'm gonna tell you, if you look at my list, as far as the pages that I normally go to or that are like filtered to me by where I frequent the content that I listen to, being that you don't even have a knowledge of some of the ones that are people that I know that's in Black YouTube, like it don't exist to you. That's what I'm saying. That's how it is in YouTube. That's what makes it so unique in that way, where it's not just giving you everything, it's just giving you to what you want. It's putting you in the block there where you want to be and where they think you want to be based off the content that you're watching. Like, I don't know, maybe if you have a more broader sense, like sometimes they'll just kind of test it and just send you those extra, like I have done that before where I may click on something, right? And then all of a sudden I started to get more and more of that type of content, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, damn, all of a sudden I'm getting, just random, and they're just kind of like trying to see. And it's a trip because I'm really into these sci-fi shows. So like, what's the joint? Westworld, right? Have you been watching Westworld? So Westworld is all about the algorithm. So they had this whole thing where they created, fake, whatever world and with robots and stuff like that, pattern human behavior. And the thing that's unique about that is that that's what Google is doing. It's just getting all your data. We talked about it, I think, on one of our programs before, where they have a way of almost determining what kind of personality you have based off what you looked at, because the content don't lie. Yeah, like where you search, your search engine don't lie.
That's why I try to clear everything out. I try to clear everything out. Even with YouTube, I unsubscribe from every channel I got. Clear everything out, right?
I've done that too.
Uninstall it, reinstall it, set up a new account,
and I'm back at the same place.
And I'm back at the same place.
It's almost like it did not forget. You're right. It's a trip,
That shit,
man.
it'll take me right back. It'll
It
take me right
it's
back to
just
where I started a
because
long time ago.
think about it. It's back to
Instead of
what you feel comfortable with. That's what I'm saying about this is stuff. This is if people this one see we're gonna get to it in the end, but I really want people to understand that everything that we do that's in these spaces, Facebook, Google, YouTube, what's another one? Twitter. All these places are basically figuring out patterns of behavior in human beings that because you're telling on yourself. Literally. You don't I mean it after a while, human behavior becomes almost like a sequence, a code. We already talking about like we call ourselves the code breakers. It's almost like a code, so to speak. Like you're coded a certain way. Your biology, your responses to things, your things that makes you trigger. That's why they call things in Twitter, right? Black Twitter. They got it's an actual space carved out. You know what I'm saying? Where these people are rocking with themselves and they see themselves and that's just the lane that they're in and they don't see anything else and it's like this whole bubble that they're in, it's the same thing. So that's very
You know what's
unique,
so
bro.
funny though? When I look at YouTube, right? I look at all the millionaires from YouTube, right?
Right.
I still don't know. I still don't understand how. I don't want to get in that conversation, but it's how it's just don't understand.
You about to get in there crazy, man.
You got a 7 year, you got the boy Ryan, Ryan, that got the little kid who reviews toys, right?
Word.
You know about he's like the number one earner. He's a 7-year-old boy. I don't know if you heard about him.
I
He does
haven't.
he does all the toy reviews.
I had never that's what I'm saying. I never heard of him before. Maybe if I see a video,
Yeah,
maybe I'll be like, oh, I've seen him before, but like
right.
the
And if you know any little kid, it's really for little kids, but
but
little kids.
what is it called? The Mewbank page where they be eating. People eat
Hmm.
like I guess they
Oh
do
yeah, the mukbangs.
did them up buying. They do the little eating pages. I
Yeah,
that's stuff that I would never
yeah.
be interested in. I don't want to just see people eat on, but people watch that. That's what I'm saying. Like people actually like 30,000, 40,000 viewers and they pay these people to eat food, unique foods
Right. Well,
on their pages,
this kid
you
made
know.
22. This little 7-year-old made $22 million last year.
I ain't mad at it. That's what I'm saying. Get your paper. Get your paper, man.
7 years old.
Word. I believe it. I mean, hey, I mean, it's one of those things, man, where
Mhm.
there are so many different ways to sell yourself in this type of environment of technology that we're in right now, that people have basically
Mhm.
created new streams of revenue for themselves, in
Yeah, I think he's a.
a way of entertaining
I think
people.
he's a Asian. I think he might be Asian. If I'm not mistaken, he's an Asian kid.
Okay,
Maybe
okay,
Korean. Maybe a little Korean kid. He's from Texas.
wow.
But it's funny because when I try to check out, like I look at like the top 50 YouTubers, top 100 YouTubers, just trying to see, you know, are there other ways for us to generate revenue?
Hmm.
That's all. Just looking at things that are a little bit simpler and try to figure out, do we have any other ways to generate wealth? Because you got unboxing videos, you got just it's just because we got the one
Excuse
brother,
me.
he does the tech stuff. I can't think of his name right now. He's making really good money. He probably has maybe does he have 3, 4, 5 million followers. He has really great videos. He's one guy I know off the top of my head right now, but he's still not. He's gonna be up there. I think he might get to 10 million followers actually.
Hmm.
But I'm trying to see just how who people follow. For example, like the people I told you about who sold at the Staples Center. One's black and the male is black and the female is Latina.
How many views do they get? They get on a regular basis. Like, what's their average? Curious.
Average views, they probably get 2 million views in one day.
Wow, in one day.
In one upload in 24 hours. Million and a
Yeah,
half, 800,000. I mean the number.
yeah.
Their same day views are stupid.
That's crazy, man. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And as many views as they get, some of these people I never heard of before. That's what's so amazing. Like,
I
I'm
know,
so
that's
locked
crazy.
into my corner of YouTube that is so much different type of content that I can listen to just within the corner that I'm locked in, that really I don't have any time for anything else, because any time for anything else would just take up too much of my time off this mother sucker. So I don't have time to be listening to everybody else that I may not be that into or that interested in. But I still think it's dope, or I still will find it interesting. Like, if you send me some of those,
Well, I'm always curious about
videos, I'll probably take a look at them and see what's good with it.
I'm always curious about where the money's at, where the money's going, and why does that why is that getting the attention that it gets, and who is watching it, and why? And just looking at some things, that's all. It's really just it's really, I won't say for observation reasons, but it's entertainment for me, but it's also observation, because the one guy I follow, he's a Canadian dude. He has a channel. He has a couple of channels, but one of his channels is called Unbox Therapy.
Right.
And you may have came across him, I don't know, but he has like 16 million subs. And he doesn't do anything, but he's been unboxing stuff for a very long time. But he's a regular white boy. He used to work in in the back of tech buildings, like GameStop, like tech little stores or whatever.
Oh, I get it. Hey, he getting paid.
He started doing.
He getting paid to just unbox different types.
You don't even see his face; just his hands in the box, and a high def camera. He did a second channel where you can see him, where he talks and just has commentary. He's a little older. He's older. He's not young. He's like maybe 40.
Oh my God, man!
But when I look at the numbers,
yeah,
I just look at some of the numbers and just see, like, I didn't realize that Will Smith would resonate on social media the way he did instantly.
Oh no, I thought he's perfect. He has the perfect personality for it when you really, really think about it. The kind of flighty, quick wit type of deal. Like, he fits the social space to me.
And I see other YouTubers. Yeah.
That feel good.
I see other Hollywood people that try to do that, and it don't.
It falls as a dud, right?
It just not hit the same. For whatever reason,
Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, it doesn't hit the same spot like Will does.
It's the weirdest thing. I know what you said is the reason why, but it's still funny to me,
right,
that he literally comes on social media across all the platforms and gets millions of followers like it's nothing. I'm like, how is this possible? It shows you how famous he is on all levels. Because everybody's not as famous as they think they are, I feel like. But in the entertainment world, you are famous. But when you can be famous in that market space and then come into like this new world of internet stuff, and you register, people want to see your videos. It's interesting. That's all. It's kind of funny.
Universally, he's accepted as being like the almost what I want to say, the educated, lame, good guy, but in a good way, to where he can say all those feel good words or all those cliche statements, and it resonates. And it resonates when he does it more so than when anybody else does it, because that's what his brand was sort of kind of built on, and that's just really who he is at the end of the day. That's really who he is. Kids are famous
too, so that probably helps too.
Yeah, but even more so than that, I think he's always been that guy. You know what I mean? Like, Will Smith,
I got you.
Fresh Prince. You know,
he don't feel like he doesn't feel that famous to be though.
What?
He doesn't. And he is clearly that famous. Because I felt like, you know why I say that, right? Because as famous as he is, some of his movies, I mean, he's older. He's 50. Yeah. He did the Wild Wild West. He did what is the movies he did with the he's done some weird movies. He's
Men in Black. No, I'm
Men in
saying
Black.
he done Men in Black.
And he's not cultural, in my opinion. I wouldn't consider him a cultural mover. He's not moving culture in a sense. He does big movies, of course. Obviously, he's super famous, ridiculously famous. But I'm like, does he really move? Does he move like kids aren't trying to be Will Smith, are they?
No.
And in the black space, I know
like
he's not moving that culture at all.
But it's like I
I'm like,
told
so
you.
what is it that he's connecting to that he's just there? It's crazy.
He's the quintessential good guy.
Yeah, I got
corny,
you.
goofy,
yeah, corny, goofy,
and
yeah.
lovable at the same time. Like nobody can really be
yeah.
mad at Will Smith. Like even when he tries to, like Bad Boys get a lot of rap because I mean he
Yo,
didn't move,
you see the numbers on that movie?
He didn't move culture, but he got into a groove.
He is culture.
He got into the groove to where he got into where he fit in. And he did it. He did it the best when he did that. Like he got into a pocket, a nice little pocket, and he rocked it.
Yeah.
Even though I never really even liked any of his music. It's not things that's a whole nother subject. But
I never really liked him. Like, did you ever want to be? I don't want to get into this conversation, but I mean,
go ahead.
I don't want to really be like anybody like in that way. But normally you would admire someone, you would look up to them, you would have I hate actors, just to put that out there, but that's a different conversation. Right. But he would provoke some kind of emotion.
He was always corny to me. No.
That's my whole point though. That's my whole point. He doesn't really even in his well, you know what though? He did crush a couple of movies though.
Yeah, he did good.
I will say that
a lot of movies, like I Am Legend is one.
Yeah, that's what made me stop and pause. By the way, that's the movie I was thinking about. He killed that joint. He killed that.
He done good at Ali. He did good. He did good on Ali.
Yeah, for sure. He killed that.
Enemy of the State. He done some movies. Will Smith is Will Smith legit, man. I'm not gonna front on him.
Maybe. Well, I'm not having that kind. No, that's crazy. I'm not saying none of that. I'm just trying to get like Denzel to me is easy. Right. Like there's certain people who are just for whatever with Will Smith. Maybe he's so famous and he's such a superstar. That's probably why it's my mind is looking at him a little differently because he is such a mega star type personality.
Right.
But at the same time, I never felt like he's been totally accepted, and I think that's where I'm kind of also a little.
He wasn't.
I don't know if he is. Like what I mean by that is when I think about when I look at like I mean he's pretty much accepted. Let me not say that, but it's just something's missing. I just can't put my finger on what it is.
Nah, man.
It's just a little something that's not.
Independence Day, that was his big joint.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
Independence Day was what really just threw him into the
that took him to the next level.
Yeah.
And he did his gay movies back in the 80s, kissing and having sex with that dude. And
6 Degrees of Separation. But
so he paid his dues to Hollywood.
He has so many corny songs like Big Willie Style, Getting Jiggy with It. It's just
who produced Big Willie? That was
I don't know, man, but it was just
it's a big producer too. I'm trying to think of his name right now.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's
was it damn, I'm about to say Ninth Wonder. That's funny. Was it Premiere?
Nah, man. I don't think Premiere ever produced any. No, let me not say that. I don't know. He could have, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Getting Jiggy with It was produced by Premiere. I don't think Getting Jiggy with It was produced by Premiere, bro. Doesn't sound like a song he would do. Nah,
he said Big Willie Style.
Sure. No, Getting Jiggy with It. Big Willie Style was another song he did. Remember? I think wasn't another song? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was produced by. Oh, okay. Who is this producer? Poke and Tone, LAS, Will Smith, Jess Townsend. I don't know why I thought I heard that somewhere. Mm. Getting jiggy with it. I like that song. Is that the one that he
Nah,
did
man.
on
Whack, bro.
uh the Alien movie? No, that's 98 now. No, it's still Poking Tone. LES Trackmasters. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the
Trackmaster
Trackmasters
said
did it.
that?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. The
Wow. I
Trackmasters. Yeah,
just
yeah,
would have
yeah, yeah,
never
yeah.
thought. Wow, I did not know that. I did not know that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Uh, 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 uh.
Yeah, Poking Tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trackmaster was popular,
So
man,
they
in the
they
early
did they did
2000s,
they
man.
did Big Willie and they did Get Jiggy with it.
Wow. That's probably what put them on the map then. Basically had to doing
Yeah.
him. Because
Mhm.
Trackmasters became really popular like in the early 2000s. I know they were like really
Yeah.
the producing
Cause
team.
they did all of who? They did all of Foxy, Look Him,
Yeah, yeah. They
uh
hooked up with
Biggie.
some of the
Who am I
Rough
missing?
Riders. They did
Oh,
some of the Rough
Rough
Riders
Rider, yeah.
crew. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a lot of work especially on the East Coast.
Yeah, especially yeah.
Trackmasters was that team, man.
They talking about number hits.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically.
Just hits.
I mean, they were popular, man. For sure.
uh,
For
yeah,
sure, for
man.
sure.
Hmm.
You ready to get started, man, and get into
Yeah,
this
man. Let's
stuff,
rock and
man?
roll.
So right now we're gonna play Mr. Fuller to kind of get the table set for some of the stuff that our president has been talking about the last couple of days. And I think that, being that a lot of times there's a lot of commentary that's done on a president, but very few people get to see him in rare form. And best believe he was in rare form these last couple of days when it came down to good old coronavirus and his attack with the media. And I think it's very interesting to see how power moves and how basically power talks. So let's get this thing cranked in with Mr. Fuller to kind of get our minds right, and then we get into some of the content that Mr. Trump is dropping for the last couple of days. President Trump. You ready?
Yep.
All right.
It's happening. The code position is when anything happens that shouldn't happen in the system of white supremacy, just logically speaking, it's the white supremacist's fault. Why? Because that's why it's called white supremacy. It's called supreme, meaning we're in charge not of some things, or not of half of the things or a quarter of the things. We're in charge of everything when it comes to people of color. We dominate everything that they do. They don't do anything without our permission or without our endorsement or that we didn't put together ourselves for them to do. So therefore, if anything happens that has anything to do with non-white people, according to compensatory counter-racist logic, then if it's something that shouldn't happen, it is the fault of the white supremacists. That's what supreme means. You're in charge of everything, not some things, not every now and then, in charge of everything all the time. So if something goes in error, if something happens anywhere that involves people of color, the presumption is, the logical presumption, the correct presumption is it is the fault of the white supremacists. Why? Because they are running everything, every second, every minute. You don't breathe without their permission. We're in their prison, and the name of that prison, as prisoners of war, the black people of this planet are prisoners of war, and the name of the prison, in capital letters, is the system of white supremacy.
I'm gonna trigger some Negroes with that one, man. Mr. Fuller, man. Mr. Fuller for the for the W, man, to get this thing on track. And I know a lot of people feel some kind of ways about Mr. Fuller and a lot of his views, and you know, I definitely understand that. But I swear that not swear, but I think that when we play President Trump and some of his shenanigans in the last couple of days, can you hear me? Can I be heard? I'm coming through.
Yep.
All right,
You
cool,
can
cool,
be
cool,
heard.
cool. Shout out. Let me make sure that we get
Shout
this
out, Mr. Fuller.
Shout out Mr. Fuller. Shout out Gus T. Renegade. And shout out the reason why we do this program, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, the great ancestor. We definitely
Mr.
miss
Fuller
her.
talking his ish. He in his bag.
Yeah,
as the young ones say.
But nothing can clear up the confusion more so than the president. I think that the president he cannot be outdone and outwitted when it comes down to showing you who's in charge, so to speak. So
well, F anybody who has the problem with Mr. Fuller, just off the top, by the way. Out there.
Oh yeah,
but I won't use any bad language. I'm gonna keep it peace.
Yeah, let's keep it constructive.
Keep it G-rated.
Let's keep it constructive.
Not X-rated.
Be it Mr. Fuller, man. We want to try to keep it as constructive as possible, but you know, like we said, we don't know everything here on this channel. We're just trying to we're just two brothers, man. That fell under the guidance, I would say, of Dr. Welsing in particular, and then by proxy, Mr. Fuller, and then, you know, some of the rest of the conscious community that was in line with some of the views that we can rock with, that wasn't too crazy and too out there. So just for reference. Let me see. I have it tabled here. I kind of want to stop it, you know, some of the actual clips that I have, not clips, but I have like the live feed from the last two press conferences. So the one I'm going to start with was the one from the day before yesterday. So instead of being on the 14th, because we're going to
are you playing snippets?
Not snippets. I got the whole thing, but I'm gonna play snippets. I'm just gonna pass.
Are you gonna play it and pause it?
Yeah, I'm gonna play through some of the major points that I thought that was interesting, that was kind of on display. It's so much when you watch it. So I'm gonna start off where he was before he gets into playing a video that everybody's talking about. That was on the 13th of April. Now to kind of give everybody a little bit of the backdrop of what we're talking about here, President Trump basically is speaking at the presser about the COVID virus. And basically, he's tired of the false representation of the media. So what does he do? He goes to full presidential, what we call the stump mode. And he has his own video there to kind of push back on the narrative that he knew, or that he had the response that he responded to late. So he's showing all the good things that he did in response to the COVID virus, and just to show kind of like how it deteriorated throughout the actual presser. I thought that was very interesting, just to kind of show you what this president is all about. And he can only, I can't do him any justice. I don't even like even just telling people about him. I think you just see him in action for yourself, and then you can decide whatever you decide when it comes down to President Trump. So I think this is something that's very interesting, because I don't think a lot of black people, honestly, I don't think a lot of black people know that much about him. I don't think they watch him enough. And so we want to give a little context here, a little backdrop, and give you some of the facts. Let the man speak for himself, and let the chips fall where they may when it comes down to that. So I got it. Let me see if I got it. You got it in the background yet, or no? You don't see it?
Hold up. I don't have it up. Give me a second.
All right, hold on for just a second. Let me make sure I get a thing here.
I'm up here reading the article.
What are you reading?
But just about some millionaires.
So this is the April 13th.
It is-
So
Yeah,
Go
give
ahead.
me 1 second. They were. Yeah. I'm just looking at some. Just looking at how. Just how some of this money's been getting moved around. That's all. Some of the influence. I was looking at when they dumped a lot of the money into the stock market.
Mhm.
Looking at some of the beneficiaries of that. Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. Belling out all these millionaires is kind of crazy.
Well, you already know. I mean, they got to bail them out. I mean, what they're gonna do? Let them
go into bankruptcy and let them go into bankruptcy and let other people buy them. That's all. I think that is capitalism. Not. I don't know what the hell this is called. So.
Oh man.
Like companies can't fail no more. I mean, I don't even understand that shit. I can't understand that.
Because they're connected to the government. Think about it. We talked about it already. A lot of them
No,
are.
I got it. I got it. It's just interesting. That's all.
Yeah, even though
You can have a system in place, but it's kind of like, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, looking at some of the millionaires, I was also looking at some of the mortgages and some of the credit card debt that's out there, and seeing are people paying, people making payments and stuff like that. Looking at some late charges and just trying to see how the markets are moving. Because it's if people start paying a lot of their bills and stuff, and companies are not paying their bills, and they're trying to get money on all levels as well. What kind of long-term effects is that going to have? That's all. So just some stuff I was looking at on pro Republica. Anyway, let me put this up. Oh, that's it. I got it.
You got it.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so I'll probably stop it like after the video, and we can kind of speak about a little bit of the commentary from there.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was just. I mean, it's just.
How much?
It's just so much.
Are you gonna play
gold.
some of it, right?
Yeah, not. I mean, the video I think is worthy. I'm just try to skip through some of the highlighted points, and then we can kind of speak about those. But I think that it's rare that you get to see him in rare form, and you get to see him kind of straight through in full context, to where there's no slant. We're not trying to make you believe one thing about whoever this man is. You get to see it for yourself, and then you can make an informed decision on the president for yourself. But I don't think, me hearing a lot of Black people talk about the president, I don't think that a lot of people actually get to just see him or see him talk on a regular basis in some of these presses without it kind of being slanted one way or the other, whether it's pro or whether it's against.
Yeah. Most of Trump, I would argue with you. I've been trying to find. That's the other thing I'm trying to find too, is that most people who hear about Trump or see Trump is probably seeing it on Instagram or Twitter, and they're probably only getting 20 seconds, 40 seconds, 90 seconds, 3 minutes, 5 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Because I was trying to get the ratings by demographics. I don't know why I was having a hard time finding it. It should be pretty simple.
Right.
But because I was curious to see age group and race and economics, those three areas, because and looking at, and looking at the length, like how long are people watching, just to see who's actually turning into the real, watching the live stuff or whatever, or even
Right.
watching the pre post recorded stuff, just that versus watching like something on social media, because you're not really sitting down there paying. If you're really not watching a lot of this stuff, because there's so much propaganda,
A lot of
it's
propaganda.
so much spin that's happening,
Both
you
sides, yeah.
know.
Really
Oh, it's all over the
more
place.
yeah,
It's
really more.
everywhere.
I would admit even more so
Shit's
against him, but
multi-dimensional.
it's like he's so easy to kind of clip. You can clip some of the bad points and just kind of
Yeah,
just
you
see
can clip it.
exactly, yeah, and
Yeah.
then just kind of like go from there. But I think that it doesn't do him justice to just do that. You need to really
Do
get a
you remember?
full view of some of the stuff that he does. I think that would be a lot more beneficial in a way.
Do you remember? They're mad. They're trying not to show his conferences no more.
Right.
They're trying not to show his presses no more. Some of the other. It's just funny to me, right? The president. But do you remember Cheney? Not Cheney, not Dick Cheney. Do you remember Rummy?
I'm about to say,
Rumsfeld
of
Rummy?
course I do.
So you remember how Rummy used to talk to the press? They should show some clips of Rumsfeld.
Talk about Donald Rumsfeld.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
call him Rummy, but yeah.
He was gangster. Yeah.
Rummy was, and I ain't gonna lie, Cheney was too though. Really, he was a little bit more.
Yeah, he was reserved though.
He was a
political. He could talk that political speak. He was a lot more. He was a lot more kind of like political.
I mean, it was straight though. I mean, Cheney was ruthless to me. So
Yeah,
I mean,
they both ruthless now. Yeah, they both.
Yeah, those are my dudes right there, man. They don't give up, mother. Like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah, they were.
We killing everybody. We killing everybody. What he said? What did the dude saying?
Yeah, they gangster. Straight up.
What did the dude saying? And white men can't jump. I'm gonna go get my gun, shoot everybody.
Yeah, they gangster.
That's what they remind me of, man. There's some those dudes right there are fucking monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute monsters, but crazy. But my point in saying that is it's funny how even though they tried to paint them a certain way, it ain't on the same level that they're doing to this dude, man.
Right. Right.
It ain't even. It's kind of crazy because they're more. I think they're more informed and they could manipulate the government a lot more. Say if you was on left versus right, then I think anything that Trump and his people could do. Because those guys are 30, 40 years into the game.
Right.
So it's just funny that I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they had a lot of energy, a lot of smoke for Rummy and them, but
that's what I'm saying.
They never impeached. They never impeached Bush, did they? Did they even talk about impeaching Bush after the remember they did the 9/11
No, they talked about it. They definitely talked about it with the
because who was running Congress? Because they did the 9/11 what is it called? What was the book? Oh man, I was just looking at that book too.
Yeah, the misinformation that they thought that as far as the mass weapons of mass destruction.
Mass destruction, yeah.
In Iraq.
The 9/11 Commission. Remember that book, that big old thick book they came out with?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So the detailing out everything or whatever. I was looking at some of the excerpts of that, and I was laughing because, like you said, they put together this thing to try, but I just don't remember them doing the impeachment part. But they said they were talking about it because who was running the House back then? I cannot remember right now.
I want to say, what's the guy's name? He was in politics for a long time. The Republican dude. Yeah, what was his name? I was about to say Rush Limbaugh. It ain't Rush Limbaugh. It's not.
Well, you're not talking about the 90s guy. You're not talking about my man. He on Fox News. You're not talking about him either, though. He was running Congress when Bill was in charge.
What was his name again?
House. That is. I'm drawing a blank.
Why am I not remembering this person's name?
You're not talking about who I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Newt Gingrich, but he's the '90s
Yeah,
guy.
not Newt. What's Newt?
And you're not talking about the crybaby from the South that was tan, that was orange colored.
No, he was real popular. He was a real popular person.
He popular too. You know what I'm talking about, right? Because my man from Virginia took over for him. I think the younger boy, Scott, not Scott. I can't think of his name right now. You talking about the Speaker of the House, right?
Yeah, the Speaker of the House.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't good old. So Paul Ryan took over for. He took over for what's his face. Wasn't what's his face in there on that Bush's second term now? Or was it Paul Ryan? No, Paul Ryan came afterwards. He was there for
Yeah, it was after. He wasn't there at the very
No, Paul Ryan was he was head back in under Obama.
Let's see.
I was trying to think of who you was talking about.
Oh, I could pull it up real quick.
Mitchie McConnell. Good old Mitch. Yo, there's a lot of people to keep up with, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because it does fluctuate sometimes real quick, but they're always, let me see. That's not really what we want.
The list of Democratic chief deputy whips. Good old Jim Clyburn. So George Bush, Nancy was there, of course.
Yep.
Was it Steny Hoyer though? He wasn't the majority. What was Steny? He was the Democratic whip. Well, who was the Republican?
I don't think this is it.
Oh, Dennis Hastert, Tom DeLay. Remember Tom DeLay? Oh, John Boehner. You're not talking about John Boehner, are you?
No, that's not dude. Maybe.
Yeah, because John was there under Bush, and he ran right into he crossed over into Barack Obama's term, and they got him up out of there. Remember, they went and got man, what's that boy name? Damn. I forgot all about Eric Cantor.
Yeah, because it's a difference. Like the Speaker of the House is just the Speaker of the House of Representatives. It's not, the person, because the person after that is the Vice President that leads the Senate. So.
But you have your majority whip, your minority whip, your majority.
Yep, yeah, majority. Because they're the ones that sit behind the president during the State of the Union.
Yeah. And then depending on who has the most seats, they're the ones that are in charge, obviously. So, because I want to say you had Boehner under you had Boehner under Bush and under they were so mad at him when he started working with Obama. It's so funny. It was funny, man. They had a serious problem with that boy. So Tom DeLay. See, it was Dennis Hastert. Remember Dennis Hastert?
I remember Dennis.
Because he came after Newt. You had Newt under Clinton, and then Denny Hastert.
Majority leader, House leaders. So I didn't know Jim Claiborne was one of the House majority whips.
Yeah.
So it's Hoyer, McCarthy, and Scalise, minority whips. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, Steve Scalise, right? He was the one that got shot up at the baseball game and almost died.
Yeah. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was what 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, time go by. Yeah, like that never happened. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that doesn't get talked about. I don't think it gets talked about enough, really, to be honest with you,
Me neither. That's real confusing.
because that was a crazy.
I know where they played that too. That's crazy. That's just crazy.
Yeah, that's in Southeast.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's
That's
right
just
down. That was
crazy,
right down the
man.
street from where I stayed.
It's crazy.
When it happened, well, no,
Uh,
I wasn't around it.
yeah, don't put yourself there. Don't put yourself there.
I wasn't there at that time, but yeah, it was right down the street from where I used to stay, though, for sure.
That's crazy. Nah, man.
Not too far. Let me see. So I have it here. So
Let's go.
it's Dennis Haybird, and the house was. Well, shit, it's been
Who
pretty
you
much
looking at
the
for
same.
George Bush?
Yeah, I'm trying to see the people that was under George. George was from what 98
George Bush?
to George, the second George Bush, right?
Baby Bush was 2000 to 2008.
Okay, so 2000 to 2008. So it was. Damn, I was
And
thinking about Newt Gingrich. I was thinking
yeah, I
about.
figured that. I figured that.
Yeah, but Newt was at the end of the line at that time, so he gave it up. He was just there for Clinton. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
Denny
the
Hastert.
popular person.
Yeah, Denny Hastert took over, but he wasn't. I don't know if you would consider Dennis Hastert. He didn't seem that important for some reason, but it's a bit vague, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit vague.
So when George Bush got in there, he had all Texas whips, basically.
Yeah, as far as the House, who was running the Senate? Who was running the Senate? I know them too well. I hate that I know them like that. I hate that shit. But who was running the Senate back then?
Well, the Senate stronghold would be at that time. Let me see.
Because I think didn't Bush have both houses?
Hold on, let me see.
For a minute, I can't remember though.
The Senate is always kind of locked down a little bit more. So Trent Lott was
good old Trent Lott.
So it was Trent Lott and Don Nichols.
Trent Lott.
I don't really remember Nichols. I remember Trent Lott though.
Yeah, I don't remember Nichols either that much.
Yeah, Nichols was kind of like the silent partner. But I know who Mitch McConnell is. I do know him.
Good old Trent Lott. You know Trent Lott. Trent Lott is from Mississippi, isn't he? He's from Mississippi, isn't he?
Let's see. Yep, he is.
Yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
Golly, that's crazy. Because he's one of them Strom Thurmond dudes. Him and Bob Dole, not Bob Dole, but
part of the old regime of the South. Yeah, Trent been around for a minute, man.
Because when was he born?
1941. Been around for a long time.
So he was a teenager in mid-50s.
Yeah. Yep. And he was just like kind of like one of those that just became like a stronghold in the Senate during his time in office.
He was very powerful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Got a lot of laws passed, a lot of conservative justices pushed through too. He was under Reagan. He came up under the Reagan regime.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. When he really started to kind of make a move.
Yeah, I think he said something slick and they got him out of there.
Well, they didn't get him out of there. They just kind of just took him away from the public's eye. A lot of people don't really know who Trent Lott is, but Trent Lott is powerful.
They should. I mean, yeah, that name rang a lot back then.
Yeah, him, Newt Gingrich. I mean, he came up under all those guys.
Yeah.
Those
are the guys that were fighting against the civil rights movement, right? And the Civil Rights Act and all that stuff.
And you know what's so crazy about Trent? Trent was was a Southern Democrat before he flipped Republican after the 1968. Now there you go. That's why I knew about him a lot too.
What do you think made them, the Republicans or the Democrats or whichever one they were at any particular time? What do you think made them sort of change the rhetoric around race? Because it seemed like, I guess, the Dixiecrats and all that stuff, but it seemed like at the time those people had a very strong belief system, and they sort of started to like pull back a little bit, at least on the outside, as far as the language. Like, who they sit down and say, "Hey, man, you can't. You're gonna have to do this." And you, like, how did, was it because of the laws that got passed, where it was basically forced to change up?
Everything started with the Southern strategy, man.
Oh, okay.
If you want to know how things got flipped from the Dixiecrats, which is basically the Democratic Party in the South. I mean, they ran the South for forever, basically. I mean,
for 250 years.
No, I mean because you have to
give me a
timeline.
Give me some timelines on that when you make that statement.
I wanted from
like tell me how much of a stronghold the South has over this country.
Man, the South was everything, man. I mean, really up until the early 1910s, 1915, when like the Industrial Revolution.
That's 70 years after the war, right?
Yeah, it started to turn, but the power structure of the country was always in the South. Always. And the political strongholds, a lot of the politicians, right? A lot of the politicians had a lot of political families in the South also, due to slavery and all that, being in charge and shit. That was almost like a family thing, so to speak. And when Nixon flipped the Southern strategy on how to actually get the party to flip to Republican, during the 68 election, I guess. Yeah, that's what flipped everybody. Yeah, a lot of the hardcore Democrats, because it started to change during that time period, especially after Lyndon B. Johnson really is what really caused the shift. But after Lyndon was out of office, you had the whole policies of the civil rights movement and things of that nature, especially the last one that was passed in 68. I think that's what did it. That's what flipped the South. And then President Nixon used that to his advantage to kind of really shift the mindset of the country, which shifted all those states that used to be blue, turned them red in one election, basically. And it's been that way ever since.
Let
me tell you, I think even some of the states was so strong democratically. I think even like a state like Texas. You remember Ann Richards from Texas, the female governor that was like a stronghold? Think about it. She was a Democrat, bro, for a long time, man, like a stronghold. I know people probably think of her as a Republican, but they didn't have a Republican governor until shit, maybe Bush. Yeah. Yeah, because he became governor. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he became governor.
Right. Yeah, they were Democrat state, man. A lot of those places were Democratic states, man. Some of them flipped a long time. I mean, maybe like in the 60s, but yeah, it took some of the other states up into the 80s and the 90s to kind of flip all the way. So that's what's so funny about that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But just kind of going back and kind of giving some context to a little bit of some of that history, that seems to be forgotten a lot of times when you speak about these things. You ready to cue up the video? President Trump, see Trump in his own words.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead. Let me know if you could be heard. If you can be heard.
On a Friday night 2 weeks ago, Joe Biden issued a statement. It wasn't him. He didn't write it. I'm
Yep.
sure he doesn't even know
All right,
that it was
cool.
issued. But the people from his campaign who are smart, people that write those little PR releases are pretty smart, reasonably good. Not the best, but they're not bad. But they issued a statement saying that Joe Biden agrees that that President Trump was right to close it down to China. Now, he did that. Now, he issued it on a Friday night. We've all heard about that, John, Friday nights, right? In fact, his was later Friday night than I ever released mine on Friday nights, okay? So he did it pretty late. I mean, like at 11 o'clock in the evening or something, it's pretty late. Anyway, so Joe Biden issued, and it's one of those things. But in February, Nancy Pelosi said we should come to Chinatown. This is late February. Come to Chinatown. We think it's very safe. Come here. Let's all have the big parade, Chinatown parade, probably referring to San Francisco. And that's it. But I took this action early. And so the story in the New York Times was a total fake. It's a fake newspaper, and they write fake stories. And someday, hopefully in 5 years when I'm not here, those papers are all going out of business because nobody's going to want to read them.
I gotta stop right there. Did you catch when he said 5 years? I don't understand why people don't do more of a break. Like, this is gold. It's gold. Like, it's not even a dull moment. Like, I know I'm a politics dude, at heart, I really am. But I mean, I can't believe I went this long really not actually listening to him. Like just literally, I don't need to say anything to you about anything going on in this country. Like, let me just roll the bean footage. Like, did you see the press yesterday? Like, I don't even have to go a week, a year ago. Man, did you catch it last month? No. Did you watch it yesterday? Like, always something going on. Pay attention, everybody. All right. You got something you want to add on to it?
No.
All right, let's get it.
I was looking at his poll numbers.
His what?
His poll numbers. That's all. I was looking at some of his poll numbers.
Okay.
They like them because they write about me. Now, with that, I have a couple of interesting. We have a few clips that we're just going to put up. We could turn the lights a little bit lower. I think you'll find them interesting. And then we'll answer some questions. I'll ask you some questions because you're still guilty, but forget it. But most importantly, we're going to get back onto the reason we're here, which is the success we're having. Okay? Please, you could put it on.
People should be more concerned right now
The
with the
media
flu.
messages from the
More
start.
concerned about the coronavirus because they're hearing a lot of news about it right now. But the reality is, comparing it to the flu, for example, it's not even close to being at that stage.
What if it is worse? Is this a moment where maybe countries put politics aside, a little bit of pride aside, and do we have U.S. officials, should U.S. professionals such as yourself get involved?
How worried should Americans be about coronavirus?
Coronavirus is not going to cause a major issue in the United States.
Well, we've asked them to accelerate whatever they're doing in terms of a vaccine. We will be suspending all travel
down a little bit.
to the United States for the next 30 days. To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Medicare patients can now visit any doctor by phone or video conference at no additional cost.
The first 1 million masks will be available.
Is that good or?
Yeah, it's cool.
All right.
I was fond of some sniped.
As there were more cases, and it was clear that it was spreading out of China, where it originated. The president
Look
took
at
this
him.
move that
He's like a
was widely
2-year-old.
criticized for by Democrats and even some Republicans at the time, which was he halted a number of flights from China into the U.S. The idea was to halt the spread of the disease, keep transmissions to a minimum. He was accused of xenophobia. He was accused of making a racist move. At the end of the day, it was probably effective because it did actually take a pretty aggressive measure against the spread of the virus.
We're gonna show Cuomo. Watch.
His team is on it. They've been responsive late at night, early in the morning, and they've thus far been doing everything that they can do. And I want to say thank you, and I want to say that I appreciate it.
He returns calls. He reaches out. He's been proactive. We got that Mercy ship down here in Los Angeles. That was directly because he sent it down here. 2,000 medical units came to the state of California, these FMS, these field medical stations. And that's been very, very helpful.
The president has been outstanding through all this. The vice president's been outstanding. Members of the coronavirus task force, very responsive.
Look at him looking at the media. You see that? You just saw that, right?
You love this dude, man. You like him, man. You like President Trump, man.
Hey, he is the representation of America, man. I can't deny it. He is quintessential American, like apple pie, baby.
That news is literally hot off the press, and I thank the president and vice president who are on the call together.
President Trump approved Arizona's request for a presidential major disaster declaration. I want to thank the president for a quick turnaround. We requested this on a Wednesday, and we had approval by Saturday morning. And we are grateful to the administration
Is
for
that
their
a governor?
continued support
That is a governor.
and responsiveness.
Governor of Arizona.
That's what I was telling you.
Hey, that's our dude.
That's good old Larry.
Yeah,
Now
Mr.
watch-
Hogan.
Watch
So
this.
we could give you
Watch
hundreds
this.
of clips like that from governors, including Democratic, or Democrat as I call them, governors, which is actually the correct term. We could give you hundreds of clips just like that. We have them. We didn't want this to go on too long, but I just want to say it's, it's very sad.
He talked
when
for 2
people
hours
write
after saying that.
false stories, like in that case, I guess it was gotten mostly from the New York Times, which is a highly, if you had libel laws, they would have been out of business even before they'll end up going out of business. So
He trying
that's
to
too
get.
bad.
He wants to
But
get
we
rid of
could
the
have given-
press.
You saw the statements. We have hundreds of statements, including from Democrats and Democrat governors. And if you look, they were all saying, "We need ventilators. You don't hear ventilators anymore."
Can you
They
turn
have
it
all the
down?
ventilators they need, which we were right about. We said, you're asking for too many. You don't need that. And in all fairness, these two people right here, Dr. Birx, Dr. Fauci, they said, I don't think they need that many ventilators. I said, I agree. At one point, and I'm not knocking New York for this, but they were asking, you remember, 40,000 ventilators. And that's more than they have all over the country. And we got them a lot of ventilators, and nobody's complained. We got them, as you know, beautiful. We built hospital rooms all over the country. The governor of Louisiana, John Bel Edwards, was very nice. He said, you know what? You don't have to build a second hospital because good news is happening. They're not able to fill the beds. They needed 2 hospitals. We built one. It was perfect. We're just starting the other. I called him up. I said, do you think we should build the second one? I don't think you're going to need it. He said, let me get back. He got back. We didn't need it. With Governor Cuomo, in all good spirit and faith, he wanted to have the Jacob Javits Center done. And we built 2,900 incredible beds, incredible. Then we made it COVID, or to be exactly accurate, COVID-19, and which was a lot of work. We had to change the duct work. We had to seal up certain areas. We had to put areas of rooftop things over the beds. We did a lot of work, and we had it, but they never really had too much use for it. And they called also, Mayor de Blasio, rightfully, he called, he said, would it be possible to get more medical help? So now not only are we building facilities, they're asking us for help because they're unable to man it. And we got him the help. We got Mayor de Blasio a lot of help. Then when the Javits Center wasn't used much, and then, as you know, the Mercy, we took the Mercy and we took the Comfort, and we made them both Los Angeles and New York. We made them COVID adaptable, which was not easy to do. And we didn't get almost any people sent there. They didn't need them at the beginning because they didn't need it for anything but this, because there were fewer accidents, fewer motorcycles, fewer everything. And what we did was like an incredible job, but they didn't need them. It turned out they were there. We were ready. You know the expression, they have an expression, ready, willing, and able. We were ready, willing, and able. What the Army Corps of Engineers did was a miracle. What FEMA did was a miracle. What the doctors did. So I got a call 2 days ago from the mayor of New York. He said, could you help us even more with medical personnel? And we sent, I think it was 448 doctors, nurses, and respiratory experts, real experts. And I got a call from the mayor, and he said, I want to tell you, incredible, these people are incredible. He said they lifted the spirits of the hospital workers from New York City like nothing I've ever seen. He was unbelievable. What he said was really appreciated. And I let them know that. I let the military people. He said they went in there so brave, so incredible. They lifted the spirits of everybody. We did all of this work. But when you read the phony stories, nobody acknowledges this. And it doesn't have to be acknowledged from my standpoint, but it does have to be acknowledged from the great work that these doctors, nurses, the Army Corps of Engineers, FEMA, all these people, they've done this incredible job. And they shouldn't be abused, because if you take a look at what's happened. Nobody's asking for ventilators, except outside of our country. Outside of our country, they're calling me, every country, they're calling me, so many countries, and I'm going to try and help them because we have thousands of ventilators being built. But nobody's asking for ventilators. Nobody's asking for beds.
Pause. Let me pause. Let me ask you a quick question. Now, I could have sworn that there are some areas in the country that said that they don't have enough ventilators. Now, is that something that some of the actual cities and some of the actual states that you have heard also? Because he's saying that that's not true. He's saying that he has more than enough ventilators, but there has been areas around the country that they said clearly we don't have enough ventilators. Is that something that you heard too, or did you?
I mean, it's honestly, I don't want to say it's complicated. It's complicated. It's just a lot of information. But the thing is that a lot of people, from what I've heard, kind of across the board, and I've listened to stuff all day, and it seems that I guess there's a few different approaches to it. But some people want things. Some of the hospitals or the governors may have wanted some things to have it prepared. To be prepared for it. Because their analysts, their numbers people are projecting things, and based off of a series of factors, they're trying to figure out what they think that they might need. And so some of the numbers that they were getting, even with New York, some of the numbers they were getting, he was asking for a certain number to be prepared for an outcome that could potentially happen, based off of all the factors. Are people separating? Who has it? Who doesn't has it? We're not really testing. Are people still being around each other? There was a lot of different things going on. So he's taking advantage in his conversation. I know what he's doing, obviously, but he's making a point about something that's not really a point in a sense, because people are projecting of what they think that they might need based off of what they're getting from their numbers people.
Right.
So, and as we both know with numbers, and you may add a little cushion in there, to make it seem like if we don't even hit these numbers, that's great. So you may, the numbers may be a little bit higher anyway. Just what is it? Overpromise, underdeliver, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it as far as at the state level, right?
You under promise, you over deliver, basically.
Right. Yeah, and hospitals, from what they say, is used to having a certain amount of stock. So they're saying they need more. Maybe they don't need it, but they want to have it because they get nervous by not having, they rather not have 3 days worth of stuff. They rather have a month or 2 months or whatever worth of mask or whatever it might be. And they also noticed that they just didn't feel like there was enough across the board. So they were asking for it. And so he's responding though to how the media sort of jumped on them not being prepared. Right. Because they tried to make it seem like that's why he punched back. That's why he punched back and said, hey, you're asking for ventilators, but for example, New York had a chance to order ventilators and didn't order ventilators.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Supposedly 2 years ago, because they wanted to do some other stuff with the money. And so he was like, well, the states, y'all should have been ordering these stuff years ago, which is hilarious. so he's like, well, don't blame me when you don't have them either, and make it seem like we ain't done our job. No one had them. Most hospitals have 2. So he's explaining his position, but it kind of don't matter because it's such in the, it's so in the weeds at his level. It's so irrelevant because it's kind of like it doesn't, whatever, just either have, but the media, to me, because to me, I blame the media for most of this stuff, by the way. But the media, because they just can't help themselves. They're disgusting. But the media tried to make it seem like they were trying to make him use the what is it called, the presidential whatever act, the thing where he can take over companies. I forget what it's called right now. But they're trying to make him do certain things, put it that way. And they wanted him to make GM and Ford and other companies make ventilators. And so what's happening is that since the mitigation has been working, it doesn't appear that they're needed at the same level at this point.
Right.
Even though they're still going to make them. And so he's trying to punch back. He's trying to hit back even now and say, well, hold up. You asked for all this stuff. I sent you all this stuff. You didn't use none of this stuff. And you still bitching about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he said, I sent you ventilators because they had a stockpile of ventilators. They had 10,000-ish. I think the federal government had, 10,000. You had some news reports coming out saying they were, some of them were malfunctioning, but I don't know about all that part of it. Because, the media spins everything. But they did have them. And apparently it was enough. It was more than enough. And he's still supposedly making them make, I think, like 150,000 in the next 12 months or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
apparently,
he's going to go into that a little bit. He's right here in this.
Right. And Cuomo, specifically New York, Cuomo, he nationalized, not really nationalized. He took over the state. He took over. I think he was saying the hospitals don't work together, and a lot of people don't work together. So he sort of took over the hospitals, made them all work together, and then the state took over the ventilators. Matter of fact, I think the state took over everything, and now they are deciding who gets what when in the state to try to. So instead of hospitals, I guess, hoarding things or keeping things, he's taking ownership of all that stuff, and he's deciding, even if you're a public hospital or a private hospital, he's deciding where your stuff should go.
Right.
And people sent him ventilators as well, by the way. I think Oregon sent him a couple hundred, and I think China sent, what did China send? 1,000? Was it 1,000 ventilators? 1,000 something they sent. Maybe one other state sent him some ventilators, I think, maybe. Yeah. So
Crazy.
that's all. I'm just saying he just been, he's definitely hitting back, but it's petty. Honestly, it's kind of petty because it's kind of like, it's great that they didn't need him, in a sense. Because here's
the thing, man. Like I said, I think that it's back to the whole deal where I say that presidentially, I think that he's not built for that part of the actual presidency. But there's a lot of things that he probably would have been a lot more equipped for. But I don't know if he could. I don't know if he has the ego to be second in charge or to be so-called considered to be somebody that wasn't ahead or actually in charge of whatever he was actually doing. He has to be the person that's in charge because he's gonna undermine you straight up if he's not.
Didn't he say that in this press conference that he's the king without saying it?
Yeah, hold on. No, we get in there. Let's continue because this is about to get to the juicy part where he's going to have a little back and forth with the media a little bit, which is what I wanted to get into.
Yeah, he talking to my girl though. He went in on her. I was like, yeah, this is what I've been waiting on.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so this is from 2 days ago.
Because we built hospitals. I think we built 20,000 beds in a period of a couple of weeks. The job they've done is incredible. With all of that being said, I'm getting along very well with the governors. And if I wouldn't, Mike Pence had a call today with the governors, and it was like a 10. I said, how was it? He said, it's a 10. He used one of my expressions, actually. But he said it was like a 10. And I'm sure you people were probably on the call, although you weren't supposed to be. But you were sitting in somebody's office listening to it, because every time we have these, and you would know that for weeks those calls have been very good. But there wasn't a raised voice. There wasn't even a statement.
Perfect
of like,
calls.
We think you should do this or that. I heard it was like just a perfect phone call. It might not be reported that way. They'll say, I thought that somebody maybe slightly.
I listen to him way too much.
My only point is this, because I want to get back to why
you
we're
do.
here.
Way too much.
The press has not treated these incredible people who've done such a great job. They haven't treated them fairly. They're way off. We were way ahead of schedule. And remember this, because the Times story was a fake, but remember this, everything we did, I was criticized because I was too early. If I waited longer, it would have been, you would have been criticized. If I went way early, if I went 3 months earlier, I would have been criticized for being way too early. So with all of that being said,
but you would have saved lives, dude. Don't forget that. Don't forget that part.
I've educated a lot of people as to the press. And I would love to be able to say that we have a very honest press. Honestly, John, there'd be nothing I would be more proud of if the press would work. And I don't mind being criticized, but not when they're wrong. Not when people have done a great job. Yes.
Ask about the video, 'cause I've never seen a video like that played in this room. It looks a bit like a campaign ad. Who produced that video for you?
That was done by a group in the office, and it was done we just put some clips together. I could give you, I'll bet you I have over 100 more clips, even better than them. That was just put together over the last 2 hours. That was just, we have far better than that. That's nothing compared to some of them.
You don't have it. He doesn't have anything else.
By Dan and a group
That's
of
it.
people, and we just put it together in a period of probably less than 2 hours.
He shot his shot.
Because
Ain't nothing else in the chambers.
They're saying what a great job we're doing. And the media, these are the governors of California, governor of New Jersey, governor of New York. Look, in New York, we work very close with Andrew. In New York, ventilators were going to be a problem. They didn't have a problem. We got them tremendous numbers of thousands, but we got them tremendous number of ventilators. You don't hear ventilators are a problem. Beds were going to be a problem. I mean, I'm happy about it. The Javits Center, which is incredible, is almost empty because they don't need them. That's good news, not bad news. I'm not saying, gee, I wish more people were there. I don't want more people there. We brought in the boat. We brought in the comfort. And the comfort was originally not supposed to be for this at all. The coronavirus was not supposed to be for that at all. They called, they said, could we have it? That was a number of weeks ago. We said, we don't think you need it, but if you need it, we'll do it. Then they said, could you get the medical personnel to run the Javits Center? Could you get the medical personnel to run the ship? We said, if it's necessary, we will. And we did. There were military personnel. That's the ones that Mayor de Blasio was so great to in terms of his statements. I mean, I really appreciated his statements. He was so impressed with them, and I am too. The level of genius and bravery, they're great people, the military people. And we pieced that together. I would say it took less than 2 hours. It was done in-house, Steve.
But just to be clear, this was produced by government employees, by people here at the White House, this campaign style
I wouldn't
video
use the
here.
word produced. All they did was took some clips and they just ran them for you. And the reason they did is to keep you honest. Now, I don't think that's going to work. It's not going to have any impact. But
Man, that
just
thing
think
was
of it.
produced.
You heard the clips. You heard what I said.
They just slapped some clips together.
They are
Yeah,
closing
okay.
down the country.
It was pretty clean. It was
Wish
pretty
we would've
clean.
closed it down. Now, if we didn't, we would have lost hundreds of thousands of people. Interestingly, so I'm against it. We did the right thing. Everything we did was right. If we would have
You don't
closed
think there were any
down.
mistakes along the way here. You think everything you did was right?
Well, look, governors should have had ventilators. They chose not to have them. We were able to get them ventilators. You haven't heard, other than, there was a lot of panic, a lot of screaming. We want ventilators. They got the ventilators. You don't have that anymore. And the surge is supposed to be coming now. And if they do need ventilators, John, we've got almost
Dude,
10,000.
the surge
that
is
are ready to
coming.
rock.
3,000 people died
We have
yesterday.
people standing with those ventilators right now. If you needed 2,000 in New York, which you don't, but if you did, we can have them here in less than 24 hours. We're ready to rock. This was a great military and beyond that operation. Let's get back to the regular. Well, shouldn't we get back to the regular? We could talk about this, but all I'm doing is this. I could have given you, like, those are 4 or 5 clips that we just played for you. I could have given you hundreds of people. I mean, Gavin was on television 2 days ago with one of your competitors singing prayer. He says, look, you know, the question was asked in a negative way. He said, look, I know what you want to say, but he's been really good. It's hard for me to say that. In fact, it's impossible for me to say. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. I have many clips from many.
Really good.
I have some clips from Anthony that I didn't want to put up, which were really good. I think Anthony would be the first one to say, when I closed the country to China, when I closed the China ban, whatever you want to call it, Anthony said I saved a lot of lives by doing that. I mean, am I correct? I don't want to put words in Anthony's mouth, by the way, and I like him. Today I walk in, I hear I'm going to fire him. I'm not firing him. I think he's a wonderful guy.
Tweet something that said fire Fauci. Why did you
fire Fauci?
Because Fauci's getting fired.
No, you gotta look at this. Hold on. You gotta look at it right here. This is it. Go.
People, I mean, Gavin was on television 2 days ago with one of your competitors singing prayer. He says, look, you know, the question was asked in a negative way. He said, look, I know what you want to say, but he's been really good. It's hard for me to say that. In fact, it's impossible for me to say. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. I have many clips from many. I have some clips from Anthony that I didn't want to put up, which were really good. I think Anthony would be the first one to say, when I closed the country to China, when I closed the China ban, whatever you want to call it, Anthony said I saved a lot of lives by doing that. I mean, am I
from
correct?
what I hear?
I don't want to put words in Anthony's mouth, by the way, and I like him. Today I walk in, I hear I'm going to fire him. I'm not firing him. I think he's a wonderful guy.
tweet something that said fire Fauci? Why did you?
Watch this. Watch this.
I retweeted somebody. I don't know. They said fire. Doesn't matter.
Did you notice that when you retweeted it?
Yeah, I notice everything. No, that's somebody's opinion. All that is his opinion.
Hold on. Like they asked him, did you notice that who you retweeted actually said fire your advisor in this particular pandemic crisis, the doctor that you're leaning on to do pressers with every day? You retweet this guy.
It was funny though.
And then they asked him, did you notice? Like, I noticed everything.
Right. It was funny.
You know, so you did it on purpose. That's what you tell it.
Purpose. You know, Dr. Fauci, his days has been numbered for weeks, man. You know that.
No,
because the white female, Dr. is it Brex or Brix, whatever her name is, she got in line. She sort of got herself in line.
Right.
You know, she really got compliant. Yeah.
Clearly.
And so she kind of fell back and got compliant, but Fauci is still he's doing his best to hold his tongue, but I think he's done. Because he wanted to cut him loose probably like about 2-3 weeks ago, honestly. He went on some he wrote something or went on some show and said something. I'm like, dude, you're done. You can't talk like that. You just numbered your days. Everybody who's done what, you know what's so funny about Fauci? Everybody who's done what he's done has gotten fired.
Oh no, but
everybody.
No, I think you're missing what I'm saying. Like, he's so politically apparent that he's an anomaly in the sense that even when he goes left, he's going right. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they have tried to just pin him down, and
oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, well,
and he doesn't comply. He doesn't. It's like he
doesn't pivot.
He just shake his head like, nope. I don't care what you got to say. I don't care if you can prove it wrong. It doesn't.
But he
matter.
knows he knows what they're doing, and he's purposely not bending.
Now
he's purposely being defiant for sure.
I would just go back to what we played at the beginning. Remember what we played at the beginning of the program?
Yeah.
And then think about what you're looking at right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We don't have to say anything for you. Just let this play out and let you just see it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
let's let the play continue.
And you no, I was called about that. I said, I'm not firing. In fact, if you ask your friends in the office, the public relations office, I was immediately called upon that. And I said, no, I like him. I think he's terrific because this was a person's view. Not everybody's happy with Anthony. Not everybody's happy with everybody. But I will tell you,
he couldn't even say everybody's not happy with. He couldn't even bring himself to say everybody's not happy with even me. Like he couldn't even do it.
Mm-hmm.
He could. He's just like everybody's not happy with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
like you can't make this up. You can't even do him justice. Like if you tell somebody what Trump said, you can't say it in the way that he said it, in the mannerisms that he said, and in the facial expressions that he said it to relate a point. Like you actually have to see this man in action. Like it's like a concert. You got to see it. Like you got to see it live, real time. Like we can't do it justice. Like I can't tell you that he's full of. I can't tell you whatever I'm trying to slant. I can't slant it enough. I just have to let you see it and let you feel whatever you feel after seeing the man live and going back and forth. Like this is what it is.
have done a job the likes of which nobody's ever done. The mobilization, getting of equipment, all of the things we've done. Nobody's ever done a job like this. We have 50 governors and territories, by the way. People don't ever mention that. We have territories. We have 50 governors and territories. And many of those governors are Democrats. And they can't find anything to complain about. And honestly, many of them didn't do their jobs. I'll let you know someday. Let's see what happens. But I may let you know who's not doing their job. I can tell you the ones that are good, both Republican and Democrat, and the ones who don't know what they're doing.
Oh,
but we help some of the ones that don't know what they're doing. They should have had their own stockpiles. And now if they want, we can build them stockpiles of ventilators. The hardest thing is a ventilator because it's expensive. It takes a while to get. We got them, and nobody believed we did. Now, many of the governors were asking for far too many. And we said they were asking for far too many. We talked and we said, you said very strongly that they just don't need that many. You said they don't need that many beds, Deborah. So that's it.
He's talking to Dr. Bricks or whatever her name is.
You're on the same page. Yeah, we have been from the beginning. I don't know what it is exactly, but if I put somebody's opinion up, I don't mind controversy. I think controversy is a good thing, not a bad thing. But I want it to be honest controversy. Now, when I got a call not very quickly, and nobody, saw that as being any big deal. They said, how are you doing with Dr. Fauci? I said, I'm doing great. And I didn't talk to Dr. Fauci even until we just got here. Dr. Fauci asked one of the people if he could get up and speak. And he did. And they totally misinterpreted him. I saw what they did.
He said the question was hypothetical, but what he was just acknowledging is that lives would have been saved if the mitigation practices were put into place earlier. That seems obvious. Do you not agree with that?
Here's the thing. What he really is saying, though, but how could you have done it? Look, I just went over stats with you, right here. How do you close it up? You have no deaths and no cases on January 11th.
No deaths, no cases.
Doctor, would you recommend closing the United States of America? Oh, this must be terrible. How many cases do we have? None. How many deaths do we have? None. January 17th, go back another week. On January 17th, this is 10 days before I did a little bit less than 10 days before I did the ban. I did a ban on China. You think that was easy? I then did a ban on Europe. And a lot of people said that was an incredible thing to do because you look at Spain. And by the way, we're doing very well because when you look at all of those flat graphs and you add it all up, the United States is very low and per capita we're very low. We're doing very well. But how do you close up the United States of America? So on January 6th, no deaths. On January 11th, no deaths. And no cases. On January 17th, no cases, no deaths. I'm supposed to close up the United States of America when I have no cases.
You didn't close it down in the middle of March. You didn't close it down earlier.
I closed down from China. Excuse me. I closed it down from China. And by the way, some people think I should have waited longer and maybe ridden it out. I disagree with them, okay? But it was thought of. I mean, that was an alternative. You know, there are a lot of people that would have said, let's write it out. Now,
You know what? Let me say this. It's I'm laughing because it's like I don't know if people understand. The presser is not supposed to go this way with the press. I'm just saying what normally happens. Like, this normally doesn't happen, people. Like, this type of back and forth with the president and all this type of deal. And, you know, to be honest with you, normally he could just be short and just get one word answers and don't even go into explaining and none of that, and just kind of like keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like, some people that just wasn't, you know, they just didn't want to talk about certain things. You know, Dick Cheney was basically a master at it. One word answers. Yes. No. He was like Bill Belichick of the presser.
Sure.
Like he just shuts it down. Like he gave nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
But a smirk, and just looked at you kind of like you don't know what you're talking about. And no, that's not what happened. And just keep it moving.
They superiority complexes for sure. Yeah, they just like, you.
But the fact that he likes to go back and forth, and he likes to kind of he likes this. You could tell he gets into it, and it's just amazing because normally the president don't get into the back and forth. Maybe sometimes there's a press conference and, you know, things get heated, but normally this doesn't. This type of back and forth, and this is all the time, people. This is every day. Every day. It like literally every day. Like, you know these people by name, and he just talks crazy to them. It's amazing. It's gold.
They're in the White House all day.
So, it's gold. Yeah.
But you know what's funny is that I mean, the people who support him, his 30%, 35% base that's not moving regardless of the coronavirus, that's going to be there.
Not gonna move. Regardless.
Who are still silent. You notice, we don't hear nothing from them. They locked in. But he's doing it for them. I mean, he knows his base. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he may have some issues with some of the I think he might have some issues with swing voters, but he got them. So this is what they want to see. So I mean, he's doing it for them. Really, I mean, at the end of the day, if they wanted something different, he would do something different.
Right.
He really is a representation of the people who support him.
Yeah, ain't none of that Bernie Sanders talk where you go all hard for the left, and then when you get into the political mode, you start swinging towards the moderate. Nah.
Yeah.
He basically keeping it to his hardcore Trumpians, I will call them, whatever they may be. And he got them hook, line, and sinker, and they're gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. They're rolling with him. He can't do no wrong. They love the way he talks and he attacks the media. They don't trust the media anyway. How many people you know that do trust the media? There you go.
Yeah.
It's already baked in the cake. That's why he goes and attack them. Fake news.
Yeah.
Fake news.
Conspiracy theory. He throws the conspiracy theories out himself.
Hold on.
He just throws them out there.
He about to go in here, then I'm gonna skip through.
Is it I want my people to ask him that question. I don't know if they're gonna get to that part or not. But
no. I got the whole thing here. We're gonna get to it. Hold on. Check it out.
Give you the good news. If I would have done that, it would have been, I think, catastrophic. Because their numbers are, Anthony, 1.6 to 2.2 million people would have died if we tried to do that. And I did this last time. Cut it in half. Don't say 2.2 million. Cut it in more than half. Say 1 million people died. Well, that's much more than the Civil War. Cut it in half. Take the million and cut it in half. That's 500,000 people would have died. Now, that number we would have reached, okay? That would have been easy to reach if we did nothing. So we did the right thing, and our timing was very good. But here's the one thing, and you have to say this. When you ask me, why didn't you do this? How come when I did the ban on China and some instituted some very tough things, how come Nancy Pelosi a month later is in Chinatown saying, let's all march, this is not going to happen? How come we have many of the experts from CNN and many other networks. If you call CNN a network, I don't personally. But we have CNN, we have many other places, and they're all saying he doesn't need to do it. He doesn't need to do it. All I'm saying is this: how do you close down the greatest economy in the history of the world when on January 17th you have no cases and no death? When on January 21st you have one case and no death? One case. Think of that. Now we're supposed to close down the country, but here's what happened. When on January 31st I instituted the ban, Joe Biden went crazy. He said, "You don't need the ban." He didn't go crazy like he does. He didn't even know what the hell the ban was, but he didn't go crazy. But he did call me xenophobic. Wait a minute, he called me xenophobic. He called me a racist because he has since apologized and he said I did the right thing. So when you say, "Why didn't you this?" Every Democrat thought I made a mistake when I did it. I saved tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of lives by
time that you bought. The argument is that you bought yourself some time and you didn't use it to prepare hospitals. You didn't use it to ramp up testing. Right now,
you're so disgraceful. It's so disgraceful the way you say that. Let me just listen. I just went over it.
I don't think people don't understand. Like, what I'm saying is, it's almost like we talked about it the other day. It's like playing basketball with somebody. All they do is travel. All they do is double dribble, and they get away with it. And you look at the refs, you're gonna be like, "You gonna call that? You gonna call that?" And no, they don't call it. Okay, that's how we play it. Okay, so I'm gonna do it too. So you try to walk, you try to double dribble, but they always calling it on you. That's where people are at when they see him. Like, they literally are seeing him break all the rules to the political game, and nobody else can get away with it like he can. For whatever reason, he has struck at a political moment that is perfect for his personality. And it's literally driving people crazy because they see. That's why I say Bernie Sanders, as so-called as politically astute as he is, would have got his win. I'm telling you, on the debate stage, he would have got his windpipe busted. Literally. You would have saw a man just sit there and look just like, what do we say? Because he's going to say, "I don't attack people, right? I don't do any of this stuff." And he would have just sat there and just saw a guy just break all the rules, fouling him when he can't make a move. And you're going to take all the brunt because you have already set the table that you play by the so-called rules, so to speak. But this man doesn't. This man doesn't. And he's the incumbent. He's the president. He think he ain't going, and he's been talking like this forever, let alone in campaign. You could just say whatever. So when you're on a campaign stump, they already give you the liberties that you're going to speak, reckless and talk crazy and oversell yourself. But when you've been doing that your whole 4 years in office, come on, man. And the press has to sit there. He's doing it during the pandemic. I mean, gold. I mean, we are living in times where this is going to be remembered in the future. Like, our children's children is going to remember this, and they're going to think back on us like, "Wow, do you believe that actually happened?"
Did you know that the United States of America has retained its position of being the world's largest economy since 1871?
Wow.
The U.S. is often dubbed as an economic superpower. And it's because the economy constitutes almost a quarter of the global economy, backed by advanced infrastructure, technology, and an abundance of natural resources. Anyway, I just put that out there because he had mentioned we have the greatest economy that the world has ever seen. There's caveats to that, but I'm just gonna keep it there. But you look at the top 20 countries, though. It's always fascinating when I look at the top countries that has a certain. I've heard GDP can be suspect, but that's a different conversation. But there's other ways to measure economies, but
even if but my thing is, even if you come with something that's factual, he just talks through you. It doesn't matter to him. He's gonna be like, no, that's not. I mean, he's gonna argue you down and tell you that what you're saying is not true. I don't care which it did whatever source you use. You're gonna be like, that's a fake source. It's not real. It's fake news. It's phony. It's false. It's fiction. They make things up all the time.
He ain't lying. He asked that. I thought he asked the one lady a few days ago. He was like, "Where you get that from?" He was like, "I don't remember the name." He's like, "Exactly." He was like, "Exactly." When you get the name, then let me know. She got caught slipping. Oh man, it was funny. So of course, one of the other reporters got up and got the name. It was kind of funny though. It's kind of funny.
It's funny because he said, "You're gonna ask me some questions. I'm gonna ask you some questions."
Yeah, that is funny.
And see, what's so funny though, right? For us, this is local news to us. This is local for us. So you know, we apologize if we're being a little bit too Trump centric, but I just wanted to give the people this because I think that what gets lost is that you really don't get to see this man in real time, and then get to see some commentary behind it. But we're just kind of like just giving our thoughts about what you're seeing. Really, is basically
And
what it is. We're letting him speak for himself.
His overall ratings as of yesterday are not terrible. With 25,000 people dead within a month and a half from a new virus that just apparently popped up supposedly. But again, another conversation, but for a different time.
Where he's admitting that when he was told he wasn't doing anything because there was nobody dead at the time. Like he literally just said it. Like I was told. That's right.
But what's crazy about what's the distraction? Was two distractions.
Hold on.
One distraction.
Anybody dead though? Anybody around here suffering?
Right.
Somebody cough and die?
So that's one distraction. That first distraction is instead of saying yes, I was, the whole point of him, it's funny because he's saying no deaths, but that's the whole point. You want to keep it that way. You don't wait till 10,000 people are dead and then act to a virus. It's insane.
Hold on, but see, that's
your mind is wired a certain way to where you're gonna miss that part. It's genius. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's genius.
It's so funny because he keeps repeating it, and it's like,
remember something.
That makes sense. He's right.
The media can't make statements. Matter of fact, what's so funny, right? Matter of fact,
ask questions. You're right.
The Chinese, they had a Hong Kong reporter, even though it's an American-based newspaper. He knew her. He was like, "Where are you from?" And then she was like, "Hong Kong." And he was like, "Oh, so you with the Chinese? So you was fake news." So she was like, "No, I'm American," or something she said. And then but she was making a statement in the question, so that's why he cut her off. He was like, "It sounds like you're making a statement." So it was kind of funny because really, when you're asking him questions, you should be making statements. I don't know if I would even ask him questions while I'm in there. I think I'd be saying what you're not doing or what you are doing. What's the point of asking the question? Because the questions are so weak that when he answers them, because think about something. Instead of him saying, instead of somebody saying, "Mr. President, you needed to keep it at zero. You needed to keep it at zero."
Or even
not wait. I'm like, I mean, like, but they're asking these weird questions. Like, are y'all with? Yeah, it sounds like y'all not really asking him hard questions.
It's soft shoeing, but you're trying to get to a point. But it's just it makes you look weak.
He's not gonna change.
He's not gonna change.
Asking him the question like he's, I don't know, Clinton, I guess, or whoever. I don't know.
Like he's Barack Obama, because Barack Obama's gonna always give you the right answer. Even though, even if you knew it was nonsense, he was going to give you the so-called right political answer.
It sounded good.
That's what I'm saying. So he's going to he's not going to be combative. He may look at you, he may smirk, he may get direct, but he's not going to get to the point where he gets disrespectful. Yeah, he's not going to attack you. Trump, that's all he does all day. He attacks.
Trump pulled all the funding from the WHO, which is going to cause more problems, by the way.
Oh, we haven't even got to that. if we don't even get to the second, maybe we'll come back tomorrow and do the second video because there's so much gold in this first video. So
Yeah,
maybe
this one is the one. I mean, it's a bunch of them actually, but this is the latest one. The one from the day was cool, but yesterday he was on front. He was had all his feathers out yesterday. Peacock.
Oh, he was in rare form, man. Rare form. Let's hit it back up. Man.
Make people
I just went over
in
it.
an unprecedented crisis.
Nobody thought we should do it. And when I did it,
But what did you do with the time that you bought?
you know
The
we
month
did?
of February.
You know what we
video
did?
has a gap.
What
The
do you
entire
do?
month of February.
What do you do when you have no case in the whole United States? When you excuse me, you reported it. 0 cases, 0 deaths on January 17th.
The entire
January,
month of
I said in
February. Your video
January.
has a complete gap.
On
Month of
January
February.
30th.
What did your administration do in February for the time that your travel ban bought
A
you?
lot, a lot. And in fact, we'll give you a list. What we did,
A lot.
part of it was up there. We did a lot. Look.
You did nothing, sir.
You know that the whole network. what
Oh,
you cover
listen,
is made.
listen.
And most
You
of
gotta
you, and not all of
You gotta
Time
listen to
that
this
you
part.
bought. The
You
argument
gotta
is
listen
that
to
you
this
bought
part.
yourself some time. You didn't use it to prepare hospitals. You
The
didn't
whole
use it
network is fake.
testing. Right
You're
now,
you're
nearly
so
20
you're
million
so
people are
disgraceful.
unemployed.
It's so
Tens of
disgraceful the way you said it. Let me just listen. I
How
just
is this
went
so real?
over it.
Or is this rant supposed to make people
I
feel
just went
confident
over it.
in an unprecedented crisis?
Nobody thought we should do it. And when I did it,
But what did you do with the time that you bought?
you know
The
we
month
did?
of February.
You know what we
video
did?
has a gap.
What
The
do you
entire
do?
month of February.
I
What
can't
do you
hear
do
you.
when you have no case in the whole United States? When you excuse me, you reported it. 0 cases, 0 deaths on January 17th. January, I said in
Your video
January.
has a complete gap.
Zero.
On January
What
30th.
did your administration do in February for the time that your travel ban bought
A
you?
lot, a lot. And in
A
fact,
lot.
we'll give you a list. What we did, in fact, part of it was up there. We did a lot. Look. You know you're a fake. You know that. Your whole network, the way you cover it, is fake. And most of you, and not all of you, but the people are wise to you. That's why you have a lower approval rating than you've ever had before, times probably 3. And when you ask me that question, let me ask you this: why did Biden apologize? Why did he write a letter of apology? No, that's very important. Why did the Democrats think that I acted too quickly? You know why? Because they really thought that I acted too quickly. We have done a great job. Now, I could have kept it open, and I could have done what some countries are doing. They're getting beat up pretty badly. I could have kept it open. I thought of keeping it
You done
open
lost the
because
most
nobody's
lives.
ever heard of closing
bro.
down a country, let alone the
Talking
United
about.
States of America. But if I would have done that, we would have had hundreds of thousands of
Lost
people that would
the
right
most
now
lives.
be dead. We've done this right, and we really have done this right. The problem is the press doesn't cover it the way it should be. Go ahead. One more question, Steve. Go ahead.
There's a debate over what authority you have to order the country reopened. What authority?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have the ultimate authority, but we're going to get into that in a minute. We're going to just finish this up. We're going to tell you about other things that we've done right. But I will say this: had we said, let's just keep going and let's not do a closing, whether it's 2.2 that they at one point predicted as an outside or 1.6 at a lower number, you cut it all the way down to 6 or 7 or 800,000. Take just a fraction of the number that could have happened. It literally would have been more than the Civil War. It would have been a disaster. So the minimum number was 100,000. And I feel pretty good that we're going to be substantially below, Anthony, the 100,000. And I hope we will. All right. So today, the Department of Health and Human Services is announcing 5 new contracts to procure large numbers of additional ventilators under the Defense Production Act, which we used a lot, by the way, which you didn't like to talk about. In addition to the 1,300 we received today, 1,300 additional ventilators. Now, we're probably not going to need them, but we can add that to our stockpile, which is very big, and we can move it around should the surge take place and should it be a very substantial surge. We're ready to rock. The contracts are with General Electric, Hillrom, Medtronic, ResMed, and Vyaire, combined with the DPA
they
contracts
getting
that we announced
fact
last
checks
week
too,
with
boy.
General Motors and
Man,
Phillips,
crazy
and 2 other
contracts.
contracts with
Checks.
Hamilton and
Can you
Zoll,
imagine? Can you imagine
we're
the
adding
contracts these people are getting for those
6,190
ventilators in?
ventilators
It's
to the
ridiculous, and they're not
strategic
reporting
national
none of it. We
stockpile,
can't
which
get none
we
of them
have
numbers.
Oh
a lot
man,
already, thousands, close to
They
10,000.
getting hooked up.
But
I'm
this will
sure.
be added by
getting
May 8th,
paid.
another 29,000 by the end of May, and
Yeah,
more than
he bought 29
120,000
pills of
total we will
chloroform,
have by the end of the year. Now,
Yeah,
we're
the
going to help
drug.
other countries.
Who
We're
you
going to
only
help
bought
states if
29
they
million
need
pills
it.
from?
We may help some states stockpile. You know,
You
they're
already
supposed
know.
to buy their own stockpile. They have state stockpiles. They're supposed to be using that. And unfortunately, most of the states weren't there. And a lot of people didn't want to talk about it, but they weren't there. We will talk about it at the right time if you want to. I at this point, I'm more focused on getting past this nightmare of a epidemic or a pandemic, anything you want to call it. We got to get past it. No one who has
So-
needed a ventilator has not gotten a ventilator. Think of that. You know, you heard all about ventilators. We need ventilators because they didn't have them, because the state should have had them. No one who has needed a ventilator has not gotten a
I'm
ventilator.
listening to Joe
No one
Pesci.
who has needed a hospital bed
Crazy.
has
And
been denied
Goodfellas.
a hospital bed. That's not even really our responsibility. Now, if we can help, we're going to do it. But that's where the Army Corps of Engineers did such a great job. We built
No,
over
he's
20,000.
what is Trump? German or Russian? I
We
can't
built
remember.
thousands more than we've actually needed
He's
to be safe. We wanted to
pretty
be
much-
safe, and we
pretty
really
much,
they rose to this incredible occasion. I mean, we built more beds than we
Let me
thought.
make sure I
We
get the
thought in
country right.
Louisiana we were going heavy. And again, when I called the governor, I said, maybe we shouldn't build that second hospital because we don't want to build it if you don't need it. He called back. He said, I don't think we're going to need it. They had 1,000 rooms, 1,000 beds, and they used a lot of them, but they didn't need the other one. So we stopped it because we don't want to waste. But we're prepared to build thousands more should we need it. I don't think we're going to need it because it looks like we're plateauing and maybe even in many cases coming down. In addition, we've ordered a total of 60 mobile contamination systems. So the decontamination system from
Yeah, they
Bentil
from
in
Bavaria.
Ohio is
Bavaria,
an
that's
incredible
right.
thing because it takes the masks
Bavaria.
and up to
Yeah.
20 times you can decontaminate a mask. And I've been asking from the beginning, why
So they're
can't we
German.
sterilize or
Yeah,
sanitize these
Oh,
masks?
it's an old German
And it turned out we
German
can. And
state
there was a great company in Ohio. They sent us some great equipment.
from the
and they're
kingdom
doing that
of
now.
Bavaria.
And now we're going to have more than 33 million N95 masks per week will be cleaned, decontaminated, and it'll be great. It's something that, frankly, I think people should have thought of a long time ago. 5 more flights landed today as part of the Project Airbridge, our massive airlift operation to bring personal protective equipment into the United States, which is now delivered.
Interesting news. Interesting news. I don't know if Trump has ever actually said this, but did you know that he had his grandfather died of the 1918 pandemic? And I think BGS would be very interested in that because I know he talks about it a lot. Shout out to the chat, by the way, man. Glad you guys are up here late night here with the Code Breakers, man. You know, getting that late night news to you to the people. But yeah, his grandfather died of the pandemic at 49 years old. That's real talk. Frederick Trump.
Yeah, Fred.
Born in Friedrich Trump.
Yeah.
Born in the kingdom of Bavaria. Died.
We got some black folks named Fred. Don't you know some Freds?
So I do. Yes, sir.
It's crazy.
Yes, sir. Freddie. Yeah, we call him Freddie normally. 1918 influenza pandemic. Ain't that something?
That's
the
crazy.
The Spanish flu took him out in 1918, May 30th, 1918. His grandpapa, his dad's father.
How do you make sense of that people die every day and we lose thousands of lives every day all the time? How do you sort of make those two things? Like, you know, the market is, you know, the market was shut down. Well, not shut down, but crashed, but which may be a whole nother issue. But anyway, as far as like them closing businesses and stores and you know,
well, one of the things,
all these processes, but you're getting, you know, Like I think the number of deaths from the flu in New York is about around the same number they've lost so far. It's not going to stay that way, of course, because more people are going to die in New York, but unfortunately.
Right.
But that you lose large numbers of people yearly from various things, not just obviously the flu. But that's been one of the arguments for some people saying, people die all the time, they die anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because it's how you die that makes this a conversation, or it's not a controlled situation, unlike other things they have under control, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his
Do you have
grandfather.
a take on that?
No, well, when we was talking about it, I think we was offline. We was talking about it, that the media hasn't really shown sick people. So that way you can kind of control the emotions of it. Because if you don't really show the sick people that's in hospital beds that are like their lungs are filled up, they feel like ice are in their lungs, they can't breathe. Like people don't understand how
That's
sick
5G, man.
We don't do any of that false prostination. Like I say, we try to stick to the facts over here. The code breakers, like don't even get that out there into the ether about the 5G. There's a whole nother thing else going on with that, which is not even the coronavirus, but it's something else that's a little bit more serious. But that's what I'm saying. There's so much diversion. I'm saying so much diversion about what's really going on with 5G that people don't really understand, to the point where we get hooked on to this. It's just amazing, man. It's the way that they control information. And when we say day, you're looking at day right here. That's the day that we're talking about. Right. Let's continue to listen today.
Delivered nearly 500,000 N95 masks, 370 million gloves, 25 million surgical masks, and 4.9 million gowns. So we have millions of gowns, gloves, masks, all surgical equipment coming in should the states need it. Now, the states are supposed to be buying their own stuff, but should they need it, we are ready to give them, because we're building up our stockpile again like crazy. Remember, I and you saw the stories. I inherited this administration, Mike, myself, the whole administration.
Here we go.
We inherited a stockpile where the cupboards were bare.
We're bare. The
There was
cupboards
nothing.
were
And I
bare.
say it, and I'll say it again. Just like we didn't have ammunition, we
God
didn't have
damn you,
medical
Obama.
supplies, we didn't have ventilators, we didn't
The
have a lot
cupboards
of
were
things that
bare.
didn't have, and you can read your own stories on that, because you know what happened. They didn't want to spend the money, but we did. To date, we've facilitated the supply of more than 38 million N95 masks nationwide. This week, we'll be sending 2 million N95 masks to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The vice president will go into more detail. He's got great detail on that, and I think it's a pretty amazing story. We have a lot of masks already in stock, and we have more coming. We're further expanding hospital surge capacity in key areas of the opening, and we have a portion of certain VA hospitals and non-veteran coronavirus patients, including at the East Orange, New Jersey Medical Center, as well as facilities in Manhattan and Brooklyn. They're ready, they're able, they're beautiful. Hopefully we won't need too many of them, because frankly, we built everything that the governors wanted, and in many cases it's too much. We told them it was too much, but we wanted to err on the side of caution. The United States has now conducted nearly 3 million tests for the virus. 3 million, the most of any nation. We are performing approximately 115,000 tests every single day, and our rate of testing is especially high in areas hardest hit by the virus. If you look, and that's really, and it's hit some areas, the virus very, very hard. For example, per capita testing in New York is higher than the rest of the world. The NIH, CDC, and FDA are also currently validating several antibody tests that will allow us to determine whether someone has already had the virus and potentially become immune to infection. We're looking at that. The antibody tests are going to be very interesting over the next short while. A lot of things are being developed as we speak. In the race to develop effective treatments, the drug company Gilead announced that its drug remdesivir has shown promising results, very promising, in compassionate use settings. In addition, the FDA has just granted emergency use authorization for a device that removes certain proteins from the bloodstream, possibly preventing a patient's immune system from overreacting to the virus and damaging vital organs, which is a big problem. Furthermore, over the last 7 days, my administration has deployed roughly 28 million doses of hydroxychloroquine from our national stockpile. We have millions of doses that we bought, and many people are using it all over the country. And just recently, a friend of mine told me he got better because of the use of that drug. So who knows? And you combine it with Z-Pak, you combine it with zinc, depending on your doctor's recommendation, and it's having some very good results, I'll tell you. Think if anybody recommended it other than me, it would be used all over the place, to be honest with you. I think the fact that I recommended it, I probably set it back a lot. But it's a lot of good things are happening with it, a lot of good tests. Scientists are also pursuing a blood therapy known as convalescent plasma. Convalescent plasma. This therapy uses antibodies from the blood of recovered patients to treat those who are sick. And this is something that actually is a very old procedure, but it's done in a very modern way. During this difficult time, we're also working to ensure that the 2020 census is completed safely and accuracy. We may be asking for an extension because obviously they can't be doing very much right now. They wouldn't even be allowed to do it. So the census, we're going to be asking for a delay, a major delay. I think, how can you possibly be knocking on doors for a long period of time now? The Census Bureau recently made the decision to temporarily suspend its field operation data collection activities to help stop the spread. In addition, while millions of Americans continue to complete their questionnaire online, the Census Bureau has asked Congress for a 120 extension. I don't know that you even have to ask them. This is called an act of God. This is called a situation that has to be, they have to give. And I think 120 days isn't nearly enough. My administration is also taking bold action to help American workers. On Friday, Americans began receiving the cash payments authorized by a historic $2 trillion.
I'm gonna skip through it because I think
by the end of the week, nearly 80 million Americans will receive a total of $147 billion. And from what the Secretary of the Treasury,
he's gonna have one of his lackeys come up, and then he's gonna kind of hijack it from him.
He's gonna take it from Steve Mnuchin.
Yeah, he's gonna take it from him. Steve.
That's the money man. That's the money man.
Yeah, but that's not the reason why we're here. You know, we love to see the subordinates too, but clearly, man, is there anybody black on stage? Where? Okay, there we go.
40-year-old equipment in many of those systems are run by the state, but I'm hearing they're getting the money out anyway.
So some of them are, and some of the states aren't, and we encourage. We're working with the states to try to update their computers, but it's a long haul.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Get out of here.
Phase 4, Steve. Phase 4. Come on, Steve.
A quick question on something you just said. You said when someone
That's
is
right. They're trying
president
to
of the
get that
United
fourth
States,
stimulus
their
package.
authority is
Yeah.
total.
To they
That is not true. Who?
Okay.
Oh, so here's the part.
That's,
Here we go.
that's my girl right there.
Here we go.
Senator Hawley to get direct.
Hold on.
Thank you.
Get out of here, Mnuchin.
Phase 4, Steve.
Yeah.
Phase 4. Come on, Steve.
Quick question about something you just said. You said when someone is president of the United States, their authority is total. That is not true. Who
Okay. You know what we're going to do? We're going to write up papers on this. It's not going to be necessary because the governors need us one way or the other, because ultimately it comes with the federal government. That being said, we're getting along very well with the governors, and I feel very certain that there won't be a problem. Yeah, please go ahead.
Has any governor agreed that you have the authority to decide when their state?
I haven't
opens
asked
back up?
anybody because
But
I
no
don't.
one has
You know why? Because I don't have to. Go ahead. Please.
But who said that the president has the total authority?
Enough, please.
You mentioned the vice president's power of government today. Governor Hogan of Maryland has urged your administration to ask Congress for $500 billion to help stabilize budgetary shortfalls created by
It's nice
coronavirus.
of Governor Hogan. Very much. We appreciate Governor Hogan's statement.
Governor Cuomo said the CARES Act ignored state government
Cuomo.
revenue shortfalls. Do you support that request? And Mr.
Which
Vice
one? What did
President,
you say?
he said the CARES Act ignored the budgetary shortfalls.
Well, they're looking at things in phase 4 where they have where they talk about states, and they're also talking about hospitals. They're talking about states who have been battered, and they're also talking about hospitals, and we're certainly willing to look at that.
Urge Congress on their behalf.
We'll see what we all come back with, but they are talking about states, and they're talking about hospitals. OAN.
Thank you, Mr. President. Governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, has on Thursday signed an executive order banning the sale of non-essential goods. If other states follow non-essential goods, she has banned the sale of non-essential goods. Many are calling this draconian, unconstitutional. As president, do you think that if other states were to follow her example in the coming weeks, that the federal government should intervene?
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's very extreme, but she's doing it, and I think it's going to be over a long way before we have to start thinking about it too much. It is strong. It's a very strong position to take, but they're making a lot of progress in Michigan, so let's see how it all works.
What is the status of the funding for the World Health Organization?
We're going to be talking about that very soon. I'm getting a full report. I'm not happy with the World Health Organization. Not happy with the World Trade Organization either. We've been ripped off by everybody. This country for so many years has been ripped off by everybody, whether it's a World Health or World Trade. And they're like, I call them the Bobsey twins. They look at our country for years and years. We're doing a lot about it. So we'll have a report, and we're also talking about the World Trade Organization. But we've made a lot of progress there. We're now winning cases for the first time because they know I'll leave if we don't get treated fairly. This country, our country, was at a point where we rarely, if ever, won the lawsuits within the World Trade Organization. But now we're winning a lot of them because they know I'm not playing games. We will pull out if we have to. We just won a $7 billion lawsuit, which was very nice.
Do you expect a decision this week on cutting funding for the WHO?
Yeah, I would say by the end of the week, I'm going to make a decision on that. Yeah. There's a lot of things happening.
On China, why are there no consequences for China for the misinformation
How do you know
that
there are
they
no
shared?
consequences?
This is the part I like.
How do you know there are no
What are
consequences?
the consequences, Mr. President?
I
for
wouldn't
the
tell you.
misinformation?
China will find out. Why would I tell you?
I'm concerned that they stonewalled.
No, you started off by saying, why are there no
But
consequences?
watch him go off.
So following up on your response, why are there no
How do
consequences
you
for
know
China?
there are no consequences? You're going to find out. I wouldn't tell you. You'd probably be the last person on earth I'd tell. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
Actually, this is a question for Mr. Vice President. Do you agree with the president's statement and his understanding of federalism that his power is total? Like the way that he described it, is there anything you'd like to add?
He like, come up here now. Come up here and say what I want you to say.
I ain't messing with that.
Leadership under the National Emergency Declaration that he signed. We're standing before you today, the first time in American history, when all 50 states have issued emergency declarations and the territories. This is an unprecedented time in the life of the nation.
See, that's normally. See, hold on.
Yes.
So that's normally how presidents.
gibberish.
Yeah, the political speak.
Yeah.
That he within the boundaries of the presidency. Now
Yeah, that's what's been established traditionally.
here's the problem. Here's the problem for the Republicans.
Speaking but saying nothing.
Right. Here's the problem for them, because what's going to end up happening is that there's going to be such a windfall when, say that he, I think there's going to be a challenge with Biden. It depends on what his faculties. It depends on his mind, how his mind holds up.
He gonna get a roast. I think he gonna get a ramshack.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
But
slaughterhouse. This slaughterhouse coming for the for
hold on.
Biden and company.
Do you think it would have been better if it was Sanders?
No, it'd be worse.
Okay. Okay.
But an L is an L. It doesn't matter.
Oh no. The L is an L. L is an L. But I think I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging if his faculties can hold up. If his mental faculties can.
If he's playing possum and pretending, because what, I seen him on Deezus and Merrill. You don't watch that stuff, right?
No, I know who that is though.
Okay, so he was on there, right? Yesterday or today.
I did not know that. Yeah, that's the young dudes off Showtime.
Yeah, the clowns from the Caribbeans. But anyway,
there you go. See how you are. See, you wrong for that, man. That's a foul, man. They black people, bruh.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, ADOS for life. Anyway,
I'm better, Tone. Don't let me put you on the summer jam screen. I will come with the receipts with Yvette and Tone, and just let it speak for itself. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh my God. Anyway, it's so funny.
they embarrassing themselves, by the way. I don't have to say anything. I just play that bean footage.
Man.
Put you on
Lord
that summer
have
jam
mercy.
screen. That summer jam screen, a beast, boy.
Oh man. It's just fun entertainment. Right. 'Cause I'm thinking about Boyce. I'm thinking about Boyce and
Right.
Umar and Tariq and all those people right there.
Yeah,
My bad. It's
the
just
whole,
so funny to me.
the whole shebang.
Yeah. Even Uncle Roro and good old Al and all of them. But anyway,
it all comes down.
I'm like, damn, these are the people that talk to black folks. Lord have mercy. But anyway, I lost my train of thought completely.
What's so funny about it though is that very seldom that you see them even talk about the people that we're talking about right now, right? And that all they focus is on who? Where all they focus at?
I don't know. I think they're all, well, let me not say what I'm about to say. Yeah. Yeah. Their focus is not on the problem. I'll just say that. They are hunting, they're on the wrong hunt. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, you want to talk about
Ain't
black on black
nothing.
crime, man.
And yeah, ain't nothing there, man. Ain't nothing but smoke. Ain't nothing there. But it's entertainment. You get views and clicks, and you get
clicks.
attention, and all
And you
that
get
good
paid.
stuff. So
And not only that, you get paid. You get
you
paid.
get paid. So,
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Did you see? Did you see? Man, it's just so much funny stuff. But did you see? God, what's the dude name? The Potter's house. The Potter's house. That just drives me crazy, man.
Talking about TD Jakes?
The Potter's house. You getting it from all directions, boy.
Yeah, talking about good old TD. Yeah, gotcha.
So TD Jakes and did you see his service announcement? Whatever they call it.
Yeah, I guess there will be announcements for him. Yeah, what was it about?
Oh, he did one, and Billy Graham's son did one.
Oh wow!
They ran ads on CNN actually.
On Corona.
Yeah, on pray to God, Jesus, whatever, blah blah blah.
That's right. He's like America's pastor now. He kind of took over for Billy Graham.
I think. Well, yeah, he has, and I think TD is probably, I guess, the black version or something.
Because Billy Graham Jr. is not as popular as TD Jakes. Not really. I don't think.
I don't know.
Joel Osteen is more popular than Billy Graham Jr., don't you think?
Yeah. Don't look. I'm not even gonna mess with that. I can't make any comments about that. I don't know.
Okay.
Only thing I know is, they are very, very popular. I look at the Graham family as more of a legacy type thing.
Correct.
So not.
They the Bushes of the event.
Put it that I would. Yeah, and again, I'm speaking. Well, I'm not even speaking in ignorance, but I would argue that the Grahams has more weight because of the lineage and the history.
Oh, for
more
sure.
so than Joel or T, who is kind of, they not new on the scene, but at that level, they're new on the scene.
No, hold on. For sure.
They're the latest and greatest things. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's facts right there. Billy Graham, he built that legacy on
the kids and the family isn't at the same level as him, of course, obviously, but and I would say TD and Osteen has filled that vacuum, obviously, but when he come out, you're gonna have to hear him because of the family, I think. So it's a different thing. than those two. But yeah, they came out and gave their whatever.
Yeah, but Franklin is not. They call him Frank, but yeah, Franklin is not as strong as his pops.
No.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No doubt. And I'm only doing that from a distance. I mean, I don't keep up with the son like that. So yeah, but T and Joel is definitely popular folks.
Yeah, people know who TD Jakes is. A lot of white people know who TD Jakes is.
Yeah, but white people have a serious problem. Again, this is my opinion. They
listening to a black man taking them seriously, especially from the pulpit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Bishop TD.
So like you said, they know he exists and they know that he's popular and they know who he is, but it's not. And they will listen. I think, and they would take his advice as well. But there's always something. There's always something there, though. It's always a little, pet thing there in a sense.
They don't revere him.
Yeah. It's a different energy. When you see how they look at Billy Graham, which I'd never seen it, and I've been following Billy Graham forever, but I'd never really seen. I always use those comparisons, that energy, and what what they draw from it, and TD isn't really. He should be, I would argue, but he doesn't. He doesn't have that level of.
In the 70s and the 80s, Billy Graham was damn near like a deity. Like damn.
Yeah. It's crazy.
He was on that level.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say this though: if TD Jakes had the ability to create a coalition of all black denominations, right? And get sway over them across the board, then we could have a better conversation. Because I'd be curious if he got four deep-throated like
extra
extra pause. If he got that though, that would elevate him. Because I feel like he has a segment, but I wish they would all kind of come together, and that would elevate him, I think, tremendously.
Right. He hasn't been able.
And I still think it's fragmented.
Yeah, because he
should do it. He should work on that. He should look at doing that. But
I think he's actually trying. But
advice.
I think that it hasn't been. The strongholds of the neighborhood churches in certain black cities or cities that have a large black population don't bulge or don't sway to the rims of TD Jakes. I mean, some of these churches wouldn't even invite him to speak because they think he's full of shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? So
really, I would think so. Well, I would say this. So to me, who would technically be popular, but they hate him so much is my man from Baltimore who left.
I mean, but think about down south. Do you think Temple would actually have him here?
No.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't think so.
They're a stronghold in the community, in the neighborhood here. They got their own popularity and standing. No black church like to be grandstanded on. You know that, especially larger black church in the city. Black
everybody.
They don't like to be grandstanded on, man.
Yeah, everybody.
Not unless they was already cool with him from the get go. If they was already cool with TD, I think they'd be down with it. But if we don't really know you know what I'm saying? Then let him do his thing. I'm not rocking
because Martin had that problem.
Yeah, same thing. Combining the churches. That's why we talked about it. The ACL. We talked about this offline. The SCLC. I was telling you about that. That was always a problem to get the churches to combine and kind of get their allegiances going to run one way.
The church to me could be our things. Yeah, the church could be like our
political party. Literally like a political party.
I was gonna say our Merrill Lynch, but yeah, sort of like
but that's
Bilderbergs or something.
But that's all encompassing. I mean, you got well-to-do people primarily in the church. And a lot of these churches are very well off as far as their congregation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we have them out
Yeah,
here.
but it's still not. It's still my expectations for this just not being met. That's all.
I mean, yeah,
Because the reason why I said is that with that level of access
right.
to the black mind, for you not to exploit that and try to combine forces and develop a system within this system to benefit the whole, it's a little disappointing. That's all. I think it's a great avenue to funnel a lot of things through that system. So because it's already in place. The belief is there, everything you need is really there. And I feel like you probably could use it to do economics, to do culture, to do politics. I mean, it'd be very difficult, of course. It'd be very difficult, but it would be interesting to see how it would behave within this environment.
It would be.
Because you're getting the pressure from whiteness. You're getting a tremendous amount of pressure, but since we're networked together globally, really, from a church perspective, I wonder would that give us some shielding to be able to do some things. The only bad part I always go back to is that if you run certain things through that system, unfortunately, you're going to have winners and losers, and how that goes. So, that hard to tear at the fabric when you have winners and losers. Everybody can't win.
Yeah, that's
or we need an underclass. One of the two. Won't go down that rabbit hole with you, but anyway, I didn't mean to sidetrack. My bad.
You wanna let's just finish this on out, and then I mean, we probably saved the one for tomorrow if we come on for tomorrow, but there's still some gold in this one to kind of delve into. So let's go ahead and finish this.
You know what? Let me just say this before you finish. You know what's so crazy though?
Right.
That this so-called virus that's out here going around, right? It's so funny that the press conferences are talking about everything but like what's actually going on in real time,
right?
And future projections. It's so irrelevant. Like I've been watching them and kind of laughing because I'm like, you probably spend a total of 60 seconds on like, what are we doing going forward? What are we doing going forward? What are we doing? This is what's been going on in the different states. It ain't talking about none of this stuff. Not a story, not a nothing, just a bunch of nothing talking for 2 hours. Hearsay and innuendo and hypotheticals and the what ifs, and because they said, I think Trump or Pence said we're gonna have 27 million tests by mid-March or the end of March, and we're in the middle of April, and no one has even mentioned that statement that he said. They've only tested 2 million people. I say there ain't no test. How you get to 27 million when you don't have it to get there anyway. It's kind of funny. That's all. It's kind of funny. But go ahead, please.
Let's continue.
President's reflected, and our health experts will continue to reflect, because the American people have heeded
skip through this.
The president's coronavirus guidelines for America, because state
Did he come back? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he came back.
There's the puppet master, or the master puppet, I should say.
The District of Columbia.
This is like the last part.
Work together on a regional basis, but the president will be.
Watch this.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Can you tell us? Did they let you know?
No, you made a statement. I didn't hear you. I didn't hear the statement.
And we would like to have their cooperation. And we are going to have.
He like, give me that mic, man.
We will cooperate perfectly. Watch.
Let me just affirm what the president said. We heard it again today, in what I think was our 9th conference call with government.
Yeah, I love when them two up there talking, man. Together, it's money.
The partnership that this president has.
It's money, man. Jeez. The contrast,
right? You'll see some data when Admiral Polovchek gets up in just a few moments. But the flow of resources from around
He
the
wants
world
to
He wants to be
run.
president so bad.
He wants to run. He's going to run. I already know he's going to run in
You think he's gonna run in 4
when
years?
needed.
Yeah,
And the
he's
spirit
going
that
to
I
run.
heard again from Republicans and Democrats
Win or lose, he's going to run.
was reflective of that partnership. And as we move
I think it's too
forward to the
conservative.
president's
So
goal of reopening America, we expect the same kind of partnership in the interest of the nation.
All right, go ahead. Put the new face mask.
that check he sent out is a
If you
fat
can
check,
hear me
though.
through the mask.
Barely.
Can you?
I hear you well.
The District of Columbia argues that they were shortchanged.
You see how the
in
media be
most
playing,
recent
though?
funding bill because they were treated as a
Gotta be playing.
territory
Yeah.
instead of as a state. Will that be made right in phase 4?
Well, we're looking at that, certainly. I heard that complaint, but the mayor seems to be very happy with everything we've done. I mean, she's actually, and she was on today saying very good things. Okay, yeah, go ahead in the back.
Yeah, Mr. President, you talked about this being the most difficult decision that you are going to have to take about whether to reopen the economy. I wonder how much it weighs on your mind the thought that if there is a second wave, you've reopened the economy and you might have to shut things down again.
It does, and I hope that won't happen. I certainly hope that won't happen, but it does weigh on my mind.
See, that's a normal
Okay, in the
question.
back, go ahead.
Right.
But the media can't help themselves.
Go ahead.
Thank you. A question for one of my colleagues who wasn't able to be here. China deployed an aircraft carrier into the South China Sea this weekend amid claims by Chinese state media that COVID has reduced U.S. military readiness in the region. What kind of responses are you thinking of?
I love
Do
this.
you have a response to this action?
China has their own difficulties. We have a relationship with China that we're not happy with certain things that happened over the last period of time, as you know, and I've been very explicit on that. But we know all about that. And no, China is, we've seen what they did. We've seen many other things that they've done, both pro and con, and we'll be just fine.
I mentioned something earlier where you said that you were putting together the economic task force and that you thought that the recommendations were happening earlier than expected. Did you mean to suggest that it could be before May 1st that you start recommending?
I don't want to say that, but we're going to be putting out guidelines and recommendations fairly quickly in a few days.
Rolling out that it would be before.
I'm
May
not going to
1st.
say, but look, certain states are doing very well. Certain big parts of the country are doing very well. They're doing really very well. So we're going to be putting out recommendations and guidelines very soon, Steve.
New guidelines would they fit each area or would they be a uniform
You're
set
going
of
to see,
guidelines?
I don't want to tell you now, but right now we have a very strong indication that we know pretty much. We have some good ideas. I also do want to get, we'll have video conference or at least a conference call with a lot of very good people having to do with certain fields, whether it's energy or whether it's entertainment and restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. We have to get people back into restaurants. We have to do what we have to do, whether it's deductibility or not. We'll see, but it should be deductibility. You'll get them back so fast. I mean, they used to have deductibility. The restaurant business, it was one of the hot businesses, and then they ended it a long time ago, many years ago. But we may need that to get people back into the restaurants. Please.
Yeah, Michelle Obama today got behind mail-in voting nationwide as a possible solution to the states. She said it shouldn't be a partisan issue. Have your advisors told you that that could save lives?
Well, absentee ballot are you talking about?
But
Absentee
on a
ballot?
massive scale because of the coronavirus.
Well, I don't know what she did. I mean, I didn't see that. When did that happen today?
Yeah, today she's back to nonpartisan group.
I wish her a lot of luck.
Yes, Mr. President, there's a little bit of confusion about your phone calls yesterday with President Putin. The Kremlin is saying that you discussed current issues of ensuring strategic security. That wasn't referred to in the White House readout. Can you
We
enlighten
discussed
us?
many things. We did discuss China. We discussed many different things, but it was primarily a call on the oil, as you can imagine. And they were very helpful in getting a stabilization price, a stabilization of the number of barrels. I think the number is going to be closer to 20, maybe 15, but closer to 20 than it is going to be to 10. And I think it was a very important call. I also spoke with the King of Saudi Arabia, and that was a very important call. And the bottom line is OPEC plus. It's called OPEC plus because there are other states, also other nations. We came to a very good agreement. Please. Go ahead.
What was the part about strategic security? Was that?
I would say mostly we were talking about China. We were talking about their borders, and we were talking about our borders a little bit, our borders with Mexico, because as you know, Mexico is a big part of the deal. And Mexico, really, it was very complex from the standpoint of Mexico. It was not an easy deal for Mexico, and the president, we appreciated a certain amount of flexibility. But we talked about borders, we talked about China, talked about Mexico. But well, I mean, we did talk about the arms. Yes, we did. That was a very important part of the call, actually. Yeah, good point. Please.
So on Abbott Labs, you said testing is going great. We know that these machines have been sent to some of the governors, but some of them are saying they don't have the materials to actually conduct.
Well, they
the
have to
tests.
get the material. You know, the governors have to get the material. Now, if they can't get it, they're going to see us. I'm talking about the local governments. I'm talking about governors have to get the material. Now, they have machines. In fact, we're going to go and I asked Mike to go into it as soon as I leave. They have very powerful machines that they don't know they even have. I'm not talking about Abbott. I'm talking about the governors. They have machines that are used for this. You know what I'm talking. You know what I'm referring to. Very big, very powerful machines. Where in a certain state's case, they're only using 10% of their capacity, and they didn't know it. That happens to be Illinois. John, please.
Real quick, these 15-minute tests that you've sent out, these new ones that you had in the Rose Garden, they say, including Governor Sununu in New Hampshire, that they don't have the cartridges to actually conduct the test. So when will they get those cartridges?
What do you think the answer to that?
Yo, Paradox, you up?
Rapidly
I'm up.
increasing the number.
Oh, okay.
Rapidly increases. Well, pretty quickly.
They can do 50,000 a day.
Well, you have other machines where they can really work. And a lot of the states have the big machines that can do a lot. They didn't even know they had them. They didn't even know that they had them. And Mike is going to be talking about that.
And you remember you mentioned several weeks ago that Google was putting together that website where that would handle the drive-in testing.
Google and Apple.
Have you
You
given
mean
up
Google
on
and Apple
Have
combination?
you
No.
moved past that?
A lot of people don't like it from the standpoint of constitutional rights. I mean, a lot of people don't like it, and some people think it's great. No, they are working on that, as I understand.
Testing website. Remember you said a
Yeah, no, I know
website
that.
for
I know.
Google,
I
and
know.
it's only operating in I think 5 counties in California
Sure.
right now.
No, Google's looking at it, but Google is also working with Apple or looking at something. We have the greatest companies in the world looking at things that in a year from now, everything that we're looking at now is going to be obsolete. That's how good it is. We have things happening that are unbelievable. I saw a presentation today that I can't talk about yet, but it's incredible. Plus, I think they're doing, Tony, I think they're doing very well on the vaccines. They're working hard on the vaccines, and I think you'll have an answer for vaccines. I believe that there's some great things coming out with respect to that. Now, you need a testing period, but you're going to have some great things. Please.
Sir, on the contact tracing that Google and Apple are doing, so different subject on the contact.
No, this is the Google and Apple. I don't know if it's a partnership or what, but they're working on some. They're working on more than one element. They're working on a couple of different things. Google and Apple. Google is also working on something, as you know, having to do with testing. I believe they're doing that in a singular fashion.
So my question is not about the drive-through testing website, not that.
Okay.
On Google and Apple's contact tracing that they want to,
Yeah.
they've got this process now where they can put, contact tracing on your
Yeah.
phone. If you opt in, you can be alerted if you've been
That's
in
right.
contact with someone with the coronavirus. How do you feel about
Well,
that?
it's an amazing thing, but a lot of people have some very big constitutional problems with it. You know that. It's an amazing thing. And it would be, actually, as you know, other countries are thinking about using something similar, but not as good.
Other countries are thinking about something.
I hear Singapore is. Now, Singapore had a little bit of a setback because they had a break, you know that, but they'll take care of it. I know the folks in Singapore, they're doing a great job, and they're going to put it back very quickly. But Singapore and other countries are looking at other things, and some countries are doing other things.
Prefer that Americans use some
Well,
other
I don't want to
system?
get into that because we have a whole constitutional thing. We have more of a constitutional problem than a mechanical problem, but we will be making a determination on that. That's something we're going to be discussing with a lot of people over the next 4 weeks. That would be a very accurate way of doing it, but a lot of people have a problem with it. Yeah, please, go ahead.
A testing question, maybe for Dr. Fauci as well. Can you talk about where the antibody test is and how quickly?
Well, it's
that-
moving along. I think I can speak because I have to leave. Moving along quickly, moving along well. It's a test that's been going along for many, many years, except now we have very modern, very incredible versions of it. But that's moving along. The antibody test, moving along very well. Okay, any more COVID-19? COVID-19.
One soldier on the Theodore Roosevelt has died. Have you determined the status of Captain Crozier, the former?
Well, that's going through the Navy, as I understand it. The Navy is going to be making decisions on all of that. And they had a break in. I don't think the ship should have been stopping in Vietnam when you have a pandemic, to be honest with you. I don't think the captain should have been writing letters. He's not Ernest Hemingway, as I said before, and he shouldn't have been writing letters. And I don't know who gave the orders to stop in Vietnam, but they stopped in Vietnam.
He know how to put blame, boy. I tell
All
you.
of a sudden they get on, and now you have over 500 sailors. And
What is a 48
Question
lawless?
of constitutionality. I'm just wondering what changed your view because
nothing changed. I know exactly what you're going to say. Nothing changed. The fact that I want to rely on states, or maybe will, or maybe have, and the fact that we've gotten, that's one thing. The fact that I don't want to use the power is another thing. Look.
From the standpoint of the Constitution,
yes,
you thought it should be up to the governor.
This is going
You
good.
can look at constitutionally, you could look at federalism, you can look at it any different way. John, the fact that I don't want to ignore my power is much different. We have the power. Does the federal government have the power? The federal government has absolute power. It has the power as to whether or not
There we go.
that power. We'll see. I would rather, John, I would rather work with the states because I like going down to a local government. That's why I guess it's now 7 states, not 8, because South Carolina did, they went away from what we discussed the last time. So that's why I looked at the individual states. They're doing a very good job. They're really doing a very good job. I'd rather have them make the decision. Now, the fact that I'd rather have, that's fine, but I have the absolute right to do if I want to. I may not want to. We have a very good relationships. Now, we'll see what happens. If you notice, the few states you're talking about, they're all with Democrat governors. But if governors are doing a good job and they control it better, because you don't have somebody in Washington saying, set up a testing site in the parking lot of a Walmart. And we're in Washington and they're in a state that's very far away. That's really, it should be. And it should have always been. And I've always said it was. But the relationship we have now with the states and governors is very good. And we'll be announcing over the next very short period of time exactly what we're going to be doing. Okay, a couple more. Go ahead.
On coronavirus and Joe Biden, he's the presumptive Democratic nominee. Do you have any plans yet on when you'll start sharing, or when the White House will start sharing some of that information about the coronavirus? Your president.
Well, nobody's called about coronavirus from their standpoint. Look, they had the H1N1, which is swine flu, and that was a big failure. That was a tremendous failure. They had a lot of failures, and you take a look at the history, and 17,000 people died. And you talk about late. They were so late. They were late like it never even existed. That was a big problem. Caused a lot of other people a big problem too. So if Joe Biden would like a briefing, I'd certainly get him a briefing. I don't know what he'd do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, if he loses presidency, Joe Biden will have no information at all. They're gonna shred everything.
Right. Get rid of it all.
Get rid of it all.
Well, you have Mike Task Force, which is the White House Task Force, which really
Don't leave
brought us
them
up to this
nothing.
point brilliantly, I must say. Dealt with governors and
There would be no transition team for
and I was on many
Biden.
of those calls, and every call got
Right,
better
you're on
and
your own.
better and better. It was hostile at the beginning. By the time we finished,
For real.
today's call was a very good call, very friendly call. I think everyone's online. And again, you don't have anybody driving you crazy saying they're not getting ventilators, they're not getting all of the different things. They need more beds. They have a lot of beds right now. And we always are.
You look at his approval rating, you'd be surprised that you can have 25,000 people die
even when we didn't think
in a month.
Oh no, I wouldn't be
His
shocked
ratings
at all.
aren't terrible.
They needed the ventilators that they asked for.
Nope.
And we were right. Now on ventilators, we're ready to march. I told you this. We're ready to march. We have 10,000 ventilators. We're ready to move them anywhere in the country where we need them, if we need them. We're also building a lot of ventilators. And That's going to be used at some point. I believe, we're going to have stockpiles, including state stockpiles, if they want to work out some kind of an arrangement with us. But we're also going to help other countries, whether it's Italy or Spain or France is having a big problem. They all desperately need, Germany too. They need ventilators. So we're going to have a lot of ventilators. We have a lot. You heard the numbers. We have a lot coming next week. Next week, we have a tremendous amount coming. Okay, final question. Steve?
I'd ask for how the task force is going to be structured. Is it one?
No, then we have, in addition to that, we have a number of committees. We'll have a transportation committee. We're going to have a manufacturing committee. You'll see it tomorrow. We're also having a religious leaders committee. We have a great group of religious leaders. We're having committees with religious leaders. You've been seeing what's going on with the churches and all of that. And we're going to have a faith leaders committee. And so we're going to have a few committees. I'll call them committees. And then ultimately we're going to make decisions. So we're going to make decisions fairly quickly. And I think they're going to be the correct decision. I hope so, Steve.
Form the economic task force tomorrow. When do you want them to have recommendations?
Soon. And they already know what I want. And so when you say form, I don't have to give them instructions. These are very sophisticated people. These are the best people in their fields. So I don't have to say, gee, we just met and we're going to meet in 2 weeks. And here's what I said, here's what I want. We've already told them. And they're the best names in the various businesses and professions and religions. I mean, these are the greatest names, the people that I think probably know the best. So we've called them and we're going to be speaking to them very soon. And we want them to have, if it's questions or statements, we want them to have that for us. And we will have either response or maybe, ideally, we're going to be learning from them and we'll be able to do that and put everything we learned from those calls into our new guidelines. So we're going to have new guidelines coming soon. I think it's going to be very good. I think it's going to be very smooth, and I hope it's going to be very safe. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Stanley Shera is a friend of mine for a long time. He's a great real estate person. Passed away, was a great real estate person. Great. Sort of a legend in New York real estate. He called me a couple of weeks ago, said he's tested positive. Stanley's in his early to mid 80s, I guess. And Stanley went to the hospital and he never came out. He went into a coma. He was unconscious for a long period of time and he never made it. A great man. He left very charitable, really a great philanthropist, a very, very successful person in Manhattan in the real estate business. So I got to know him a lot. He was so excited when his friend from New York became the president of the United States. He was like a young boy. And he was not a young boy, but he was like a young boy. He was so excited. He thought would do such a good job, and he was so happy. And he was very proud of what we've done in this administration. But he was tested positive, and unfortunately, he didn't make it. To me, it's a very sad thing. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
That was your president. So we wanted to kind of give him his to me, being that there's so many different things and so many interactions that he has with the press, and how you can see how it kind of goes back and forth, and some of the things that he says is out of order, a lot of things that they say is out of order. It's only right to give it kind of like his full contextual view, because if you just snip it, it doesn't do it justice, really. And I wanted to kind of give the people out there, especially like my audience, and if you breaking down some of the shenanigans that took place during some of the press conferences on both sides, the games that these people are playing with people's lives, by the way, like, people really do need information and they really need to be taken seriously. But this is the government that we have. This is the political games that people play, so to speak. So, he can't make a mockery of something that's not already, false in a sense. Nobody is pretty much speaking honestly to each other, and he's been able to kind of make a mockery of it. You know, you want to play political games, so he just kind of goes ham and breaks all the rules. Then, you know, he don't just break a little bit of the rules. He just said, forget it. I'm not playing your game. I'm gonna play my own game. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make you do what I do. I'm gonna make you, follow my whims, and that's where he's masterful at. I give it to him. He's not much of a politician.
His numbers don't. I mean, he's watching the numbers.
Right. I mean,
and his numbers are not terrible at all.
Let's see. What I'm saying is that even people that do not even like him will have a respect for him because they see that he goes in on the media and he kind of speaks, even though he doesn't sound like he knows pretty much what he's talking about. People can still get with what he's doing because they know that it's just like, hey, he's just doing his own thing, so to speak. And I think that's what a lot of people see in Trump to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to get into the next presser, but I mean, we don't have time for that. I guess we kind of went over a lot of the different things that he has going on. I would just tell people to I guess we can kind of end with the same video that we begin with, right? To kind of keep it in context about what our whole program is about with Mr. Fuller.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And kind of like, just understand what you just listened to. Just listen to what Mr. Fuller said and see if it has any context to you. See if you can understand where he's coming from when he says certain things as far as the system is concerned. And just think of it as a system. Don't hold any kind of emotion to it. I would suggest people to kind of look at it from that standpoint. Don't let pride get in the way of you analyzing what is going on with the situation. So, do you have any closing thoughts at all?
Nah, man, it spoke for itself.
Always like that, man. I can't do it any justice. I can't speak.
It don't need no sauce.
Right. No sauce. No, that's what I'm saying. Like all that extra stuff that people be doing. I'm like, yo, what for? Well, there's no reason for it, really. Right?
Right. No, these are the people who are dictating. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, it's not really
right.
That is the reality.
The man sat there and said absolute power. That's what he said, right?
It's not constitutional, but he did say it. Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying he's willing to go ahead and push executive orders to the brink. He don't care.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do what I gotta
do. Who wrote those amendments? Was it Alexander Hamilton? I forgot which president that was.
Well, you talking about Ben Franklin, or Thomas Jefferson. That's who you talking about. The amendments, right?
Yeah, but the one that's related to the states having power.
Oh, that's the 10th Amendment.
Yeah, the 10th Amendment. Yeah.
The 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Yeah, I think Hamilton was heavily involved in that. When they was ratifying everything, I think he was heavily involved in with the states. It's the states.
States' rights. Yeah,
right. They gave up some of their authority to have the federal government for it to even exist. So
gotta give me my rights, man. You can't be coming around here telling us what to do around here. No sirree. Now, unless you want some straight up. Oh man, they got something.
So you're gonna have states' rights, and you're gonna have them go to court. Because it could be a whole thing.
Remind me, on the next program to discuss the supremacy clause, which is connected to the 10th Amendment, by the way. But the supremacy clause is what it's called. So, goes all the way back to Brown versus Board of Education. I think it has a lot to do with states' rights and no national involvement, but the president do have something in their back pocket called the executive order, so that's what he's referring to. Which, if there's any kind of national security risk or anything that's harming of the states, whatever the state is doing, if it's harming the actual citizens of the United States, then United States basically Joker trumps. Pun intended. Trumps.
I know the Trumps.
States.
Well, we'll see what the courts say, but it's really the courts. I think will have to get
Well,
involved.
it's all about danger. So it's the same thing would happen with Alabama back in the day. The Brown versus Board. You know, they said, hey, let's keep schools separate. National said no, that's not constitutional, and they had a big fight about it. And you know, the nation. Well, that's a whole nother thing. We'll kind of go through it on one of them, but definitely want to get into the one from today. It's a little bit shorter. It's not as long, so you know, if one tomorrow has a little bit more gold, we'll probably try to jump on tomorrow and kind of share a little bit. But let's go ahead and end it with Mr. Fuller with some of his knowledge, and as we started, we'll end it. And you know, hope that everything can be in full context of what this program is about. Maybe if we get on a little bit earlier next time, we can get some people up here and we can discuss. But if there's any questions or concerns that you guys have, please feel free to share it with us. You want to hit them with the email and the Twitter one more time?
Yeah. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit us at codebreakers1999@gmail.com. And you can always hit us on Twitter at codebreakers191.
Yeah, and you know, them likes are for free. You know, we're not asking for anything, but we'd like the message to get out if possible. But if not, then you know, you don't feel like doing that, then that's fine too.
So what?
If you like the program, so what?
So what?
If you don't like the program, so what?
So what?
Anyway, man, let me get it queued up here real quick, and we'll be out of here. Yeah, man. All right, do you see it?
Yeah.
Neely Fuller Jr. It means in charge of everything. And we are out. You want to go ahead and close it up?
All right. And this is the Code Breaker. This is Paradox.
And this is D. Until next time. Peace.
Well, when something is happening, the code position is when anything happens that shouldn't happen in the system of white supremacy, just logically speaking, it's the white supremacist's fault. Why? Because that's why it's called white supremacy. It's called supreme, meaning we're in charge not of some things, or not of half of the things or a quarter of the things. We're in charge of everything when it comes to people of color. We dominate everything that they do. They don't do anything without our permission or without our endorsement or that we didn't put together ourselves for them to do. So therefore, if anything happens that has anything to do with non-white people, according to compensatory counter-racist logic, then if it's something that shouldn't happen, it is the fault of the white supremacists. That's what supreme means. You're in charge of everything, not some things, not every now and then, in charge of everything all the time. So if something goes in error, if something happens anywhere that involves people of color, the presumption is, the logical presumption, the correct presumption is it is the fault of the white supremacists. Why? Because they are running everything, every second, every minute. You don't breathe without their permission. We're in their prison, and the name of that prison, as prisoners of war, the black people of this planet are prisoners of war, and the name of the prison, in capital letters, is the system of white supremacy.